This is the X&C Podcast, your Xbox newscast, featuring Colteastwood and Mag, hosting industry interviews and gaming talk live on YouTube every Monday night at 5 p.m. on the West Coast, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. For all of you listening around the world, X&C Podcast is available on demand on Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to the show. Join the chat, hit the like button, and let's get into this week's topics with the Xbox newscast. Welcome to the X&C Podcast. This is episode 130. Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, and all of the other holiday celebrations. We've got people from around the world who are watching the show. We really appreciate you for being here. I'm Colteastwood. I'm not wearing glasses, and I can't see any of you. But thank you for being here. You'll get used to it, I promise. I'm here with my very handsome and sexy co-host, middle-aged game guy. How are you, bro?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much. It's another great week. Happy holidays to everyone. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, everything that everybody's celebrating right now. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Be with your families. Be well. Stay positive. Don't be toxic. Let's all have a great time. We're going to have a great show tonight, guys. And we have a wonderful guest tonight. Colt, go ahead and introduce the young man himself.
Yeah, we've got a very special guest, a very close friend of mine. This guy has a decade under his belt of being in the gaming community. He's been on stage at Xbox. He's got a fantastic channel that's hit over 100,000 subscribers. He's got thousands of some okay videos, but some real banger videos as well. He runs one of the biggest Xbox gaming podcasts, the outstanding, the completely handsome, ready for camera next year. My good friend, Mag's great friend and enemy, Randall Thor 19.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Last episode of XNC, and I'm here with Colt and Mag. You know, it's funny, Mag, Colt, like last week, was like, man, I want to have a guest for next week. I want to have a guest for my final show. I need a big guest. And then Colt's like, I asked this person, they said no. I asked this person, they said no. I asked this person, they said no. And then yesterday, Colt's like, hey, you want to do my show? And I'm like, oh, so I'm like the fifth choice? I'm like, thank you, Colt. I appreciate it. After all these people said no.
Yep.
Yep, there it is.
Yeah, I asked Phil, and he's like, who? And then I'm like, Rand, can you help me out here? Rand, we appreciate you, bro. We're glad you're here. This has been a really crazy week, and I know that we're all going to talk about everything, even the most uncomfortable of discussions.
It's not only been a crazy week, Colt. This is like the year reflection of 2023. It's the last show.
All right, well, let's.
It's not just what's going on. It's like, man, 2023 is coming to a close because the next time Mag and Colt will see everybody in chat will be 2024. So,
isn't that crazy? And you know, we would briefly talk about what we're playing, but why don't we take a minute and just kind of talk about what our big highlights for that we've played this year. I already know what Mag's going to say, and it's probably the same thing you'll say, Rand, but let me say real quick that some of the highlights for me were Hogwarts Legacy, Dead Island 2 being way better than it should have been for what it went through.
Was great. Considering Colteastwood had told me once before it was coming in 2019, and I think again he was in our video where he said it was coming in 2020. How many Dead Island videos did you make?
Yeah, I think I said it was going to be shown at E3 every year for like 5 years. So, Dead Island 2 was a great surprise hit. And then, of course, Starfield was one of my favorite games this year. And then kind of a surprise hit would be what I'm playing right now, and it's Avatar, which sometimes I really love it. Sometimes I'm like, why'd you do this? But I'm glad I'm playing it. That's kind of my 2023 in a nutshell. Let's hear from Mag next. What was your year
come
like?
On, man. You know what it was like. It was it started off with a bang with Hogwarts Legacy. Hogwarts Legacy was an absolutely magnificent experience, and then right into there, dovetailed right into Resident Evil 4. Still my top 3 games of the year.
Speak it, Mag. Speak it. Let's go.
Dude, the game I played through the game 8 times.
Well, I played through it 3 times, and I remember telling Cole, I'm like, I'm on my third. I was doing my third playthrough in a party with Cole, and he's like, what? And he's like, third time? I'm like, yeah, bro. And he wouldn't even play through it once. He's so scared.
Oh, dude, what a great game. Well, I mean, I've heard him scream when he does VR Resident Evil. That's really funny. Mm-hmm. But I got to tell you, Resident Evil 4 is still standing in my game of the year. Very close second, Hogwarts Legacy. And then, I played a lot of nice games throughout the year. Dead Island 2, a pleasant surprise. And then I'm now about 6 or 7 hours into Alan Wake 2. What a magnificent experience as well. I know, Rand. It might be. I think you were saying it was like your game of the generation so far.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if it. Well, maybe, but it's definitely my game of the year for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. I remember you were talking about it when you first played it. So I was like, oh man. I mean, it was already on the hit list for me anyway, right? But the fact that now that I'm about 6-7 hours in and I'm understanding the mechanics, you know what I mean? Like going to the. I'm not going to get into spoilers, obviously, but going into the evidence room and putting things on the wall, reading things, sitting there problem solving, saying, okay, maybe this is it and this is it, and all of a sudden you realize you're like, wow. 2 hours just went by, and it felt like 5 seconds, and it's just that's when you're just involved, right? So I'm really, really big fan of that game, and that's it. And then
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
You got to give your props to the great that we lost today. While you talk about that,
what?
Oh my gosh!
I did hear about it. Yes, I did hear about it.
The voice actor of
Yes.
Max Payne,
the actor, the
yes.
performance and the voice actor. Yeah,
that's
right.
right.
McCaffrey.
James McCaffrey passed away today, 65 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And Rockstar just released a little memo about it, and talking about his accomplishments. And then, of course, the crazy thing is that they're actually remaking part 1 and 2 from the ground up, right? So that should be coming out in the next year or two, and I'd say maybe 2 years. But let's just say that's the case.
You think they got his voice in there, Mag?
Well, the thing is, they already had his voice, did they not?
Oh, so yeah, I guess they would reuse those old recordings in a remake, I suppose.
Like they could do what they did with what's her name, Carrie Fisher. Remember when they did Star Wars, they had all the cut scenes. When they did the Rise of Skywalker, they basically just spliced a bunch of the scenes, already filmed scenes together, and kind of put her in the film. I mean, they have so much recorded dialogue that he did for part 1, 2, and 3. That they might be able to, put something together. And you know what? The thing is also a lot of these companies now, they're using AI. I know it's a little bit taboo for some people, but they still are being able to use you know what I'm about to say, right? So like with the AI situation, look at they did even with the Obi-Wan Kenobi show on Disney Plus to be able to do a young James Earl Jones. They did AI to create a younger James Earl Jones's voice. So that being the case,
I'm your father.
Yeah. Well, okay. Colt, he didn't sound like that. But
Luke, I'm your father.
So, I don't know. Percolator, calm down in the chat, all right? Jeez, we just started.
What about you, Rand? What was your highlight of 2023?
I mean, there was a bunch of highlights. 2023 was an outstanding year. Outstanding. I mean, it started off with a bang, and I won't say Hogwarts Legacy, because you guys forgot about the incredible award-winning Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh, yes, I
dropped
know.
out at the beginning of January.
Yeah, that was great.
Developer Direct Shadow Drop, and that game was just incredible. Like you talk about a studio, Tangle Gameworks, known for horror games, and they make an action, rhythm-based.
What
do they call it? A rhythm-based game, and it was that freaking good. Like, come on, like and like Max said, Resident Evil 4, one of my favorite games of the year. Hogwarts Legacy was way better than I expected. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I loved despite the performance issues that it did have when I played it. Right, but even then, like that game still, like what it was doing, the story and all that stuff. It's still like you could tell. It's like, yeah, this game's amazing. It's man, the performance though. It's and then there's like some indie games that this year that I really, really jived with. Planet of Lana being one of them. Cocoon, I think, being my favorite. I absolutely adored Cocoon. And you get to like my favorite game of the year, Alan Wake 2. Just a stunning work, masterpiece. A sequel to a game that I have been waiting for 13 years. And they surpassed all my expectations of what I wanted from an Alan Wake game. I couldn't have been happier with how that game turned out. But man, it was a great year. I think I beat like 50 games this year.
Yeah,
I mean, Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 and Oxenfree 2 I beat on PlayStation. Because, hey, if I can't play it on my Xbox, well, I do have that other platform to play them on. And I enjoyed Final Fantasy 16 quite a bit. It did lag in some areas, but I thought it was quite enjoyable. Spider-Man 2 was also really good. I didn't think it was good as... I think some parts were better. I think the gliding through the city was significantly better, or getting
here he
through
goes
the
talking about
city was
PlayStation.
significantly better. We were talking about the games we played.
I'm just kidding.
Spider-Man 2 being one of them,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed. There are some big ones that I haven't. Like, I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 yet.
Same,
Right? That one game of the year. Haven't played it, although I plan on it. I plan on to. So.
I was going to ask you, or do you plan on doing it? Because I don't know. You don't come across as a. It seems more of a Jez kind of game. Like with the
it does. It does. Here's the thing, though. I bet you if I started, I'll beat the game before Jez beats it.
That's true.
Because he's going to go back to World of Warcraft and then gets lost.
And the game that Colt's been trying to get me to play for a while, I'm finally starting up this week. Cyberpunk.
Yes.
Never played Cyberpunk before.
No.
They got the expansion, the update 2.0 and 2.1. So I'm like really excited to finally delve into Cyberpunk. And there's really only, when I look at my backlog for this year, there's only 2 games really that I want to play that I haven't got to yet. One of them being Armored Core 6. Didn't get around to it. I think when Armored Core 6 came out, I want to say me and Colt were neck deep in our playthroughs for review for Starfield.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So like we were playing Starfield and it was like, all right, well, I can't play Armored Core 6. And the other game I kind of want to play is Liza P. Didn't get a chance to play that. I hear it's really good, so
you only played the demo for your show?
Yeah, I only played the demo.
Yeah.
And I'm not the biggest like Soulsborne guy. I mean, I love Elden Ring and I love Sekiro and I did enjoy Bloodborne, but I'm not like that, like, oh my god, the Souls games are the pinnacle of video gaming, right? That a lot of people say, but I do enjoy them, so I'll probably check out Liza P.
You have fully experienced them. Like, you've done everything in Elden Ring, and you did Bloodborne when it was new, like you said, and
I didn't say Elden Ring.
Sekiro's one of your favorite games that year.
Sekiro's 2019, Sekiro's my game of the year. I wasn't someone that said Elden Ring was my game of the year, but then didn't finish it and still hasn't finished it.
Game of the year? Never finished it.
Game of the year, didn't finish it.
That's as we always say. Shout out to Zocker for no reason.
Shout out to Zocker.
Wow. What about RoboCop? No.
I did play RoboCop. It was okay. It was quite enjoyable. I'm a big fan of the movies, and I thought it nailed the aspect of being RoboCop. Right.
It's in the backlog, so that's why I didn't mention Final Fantasy. I didn't mention RoboCop. I didn't get to him yet. Right, and then the other one. I'm about 15 hours into Liza P, and it's actually quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
So in terms of its difficulty, I put it comparable to maybe. I think it's a little bit easier than Sekiro. A little bit easier.
Sekiro is pretty tough.
It was tough. That was tough. Yeah. That butterfly boss, like 3 days on that woman. But,
what a game that was!
What a great game!
It's been a great year. It's been a great year. A lot of incredible games. And 2024, 2024 does look like maybe it won't have as many quote unquote bangers as this year did.
Yeah, when I think about Xbox's 2024, like, we're wondering when Hellblade comes in. Like, maybe it comes in first half of the year.
Hey, I heard you say May, though.
Right, I did.
I saw some articles saying that Colteastwood said it was May.
Yeah, Mag was sitting here right with me, and he didn't stop me. But yeah, I said that we'd heard that it was May 21st, which is a Tuesday. But I also said I expect Hellblade to be at the end of the year, right next to Avowed. It's kind of, I think it could be a dicey 2024 for Xbox.
See, I'm the opposite of you. I expect Hellblade 2 at the beginning of the year.
Well, the problem is you're pushing 6 months from the reveal at the Game Awards that we just had 2 weeks ago. Like the article said on comicbook.com, they said, why didn't they just announce the release date at the Game Award trailer? And I'm like, well, if I look back, this is a good question for Rand, right? What does Xbox typically do for a release date? We know Starfield was shown its last time in March for a 6-month release date in September 10th or whatever it was, right?
Well,
so is 6 month the status quo for Xbox saying, we'll finally give you the date?
I mean, you could be right in that Hellblade 2 could be the end of the year. But also, I fully expect Microsoft to have a developer direct where they give release dates for their early 2024 lineup. And Hellblade 2 has been a big part of their marketing push. It's in their like new trailer. I mean, Melissa Juergens was at the Game Awards. They debuted the new song and the trailer. Do you really do that if the game's not ready for another 9 months? But I don't know.
I feel like the Hellblade marketing has been very consistent, like once per year since 2019. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just maybe I'm the little more optimistic path here because Hellblade is my most anticipated game of 2024, and it's been my most anticipated game from Xbox, since it was announced. So I'm still crossing my fingers for a like March, April, May release date because when we look at things Matt Booty has said recently, which I'm sure you guys discussed months ago or a month ago, where you said, "Hey, we're still on track for big games for one a quarter," right?
Okay,
Meaning to me that they're on track for that for next year. And the one negative that you can say about Xbox right now is that we don't know what their release cadence is for 2024 at all. Sure, we can mention the games Avowed, Hellblade, Our History Untold,
Towerborn.
Is Towerborn 2024 though?
Well, it has the date on it, so as of now,
all right, that's fine.
They said it at E3. It said 2024, so I'm assuming it's 2024.
Flight Sim 2024 is another one. Like,
yeah, Flight Sim.
They have one for sure, and that's Call of Duty Gulf War.
That is true.
Right?
It's not announced yet, though. Well, it's not announced yet.
Not announced, but I mean, it's pretty much assumed at this point.
True.
Right? So you're looking at October, November, no matter what, right? Somewhere in that area there. They always release in the same window. So now you've covered one quarter, essentially. Right? So you want to go like late summer, early fall with something else, maybe late August, early September, like they did with Starfield. I think that would make a lot of sense if they put something in there and then you put Hellblade in the spring because they just showed Hellblade. It would be very strange to me that all of a sudden out of nowhere when they come back from their Christmas break, that because they take that holiday, right? They take that couple of weeks off and then they come back in January. So when they come back, I would find it a little bit odd to be like, okay, we're going to show Avowed. By the way, it comes out in 5 months. I think they're going to ride off maybe a little bit of the popularity and the momentum that Hellblade is going, and I could see them launching that in the spring, then Avowed in the fall with Call of Duty, all launching on Game Pass. That's my prediction.
Yeah, and I mean, Matt Booty even mentioned how there's other games that aren't announced yet for 2024, right? So you look at right now, we don't have any dates. I mean, if you flip it to the PlayStation side, you know that, okay, you got Last of Us Part 2 coming, remaster in January 19th. February, you got Helldivers 2 coming.
Yep.
March, you have Rise of the Ronin coming on the 22nd.
Fantasy.
And Final Fantasy, which isn't a first-party game for them, but it is like a big exclusive for them.
Which one?
So on the X,
Final Fantasy Rebirth?
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, right?
Yeah, and they have a release date for that one, you said?
February.
Yeah, leap year, leap day. So that's the one thing about Xbox is like you don't know when Towerborn is coming or any of that stuff. I do think we will find out like January, maybe like late January, early February, because I do expect them to do another developer direct. And I do think we will get release dates for games at that point,
Yeah, I was going to say, Rand, I think it's probably in Xbox's best interest to, on their turf, give those release dates at probably a February developer direct. Wasn't the developer direct was early January last year?
Developer Direct was announced on January 11th, and it aired January 25th.
What a memory!
Yes.
No, he doesn't. He remembers numbers all the time.
I don't even remember what happened yesterday. I'd be terrible in court. Like, Mr. Mag, what happened? The events of the. I'm like, I don't even know what happened this morning. Jason Max in the chat mentioned something. I just want to bring this up. Another one. A wild card here. Contraband. Where the hell did it go? Where did it disappear to? It's been years.
Well, they revealed it in 2021, so it's been a couple years.
Yeah,
it's one of the things. It's like, takes time.
Yeah, and I know people feel like, and I don't blame them. And I'll tell you why in a second. Where people feel like that Xbox has announced their stuff far too early, and I agree, they have. Thank you everybody for being here. We got 700 people watching live. If you're enjoying the show with Mag and our good friend Randall Thor 19, hit the like button and show your support for the show. Thank you guys for being here. It means a lot. We've got a lot to talk about, and it's good to have you guys here to talk about it with us. Now, Xbox does announce this stuff really early, guys, but people are like, they showed. I've literally had this conversation with people online where they say they showed State of Decay years ago, like 5 years ago, and we still don't have State of Decay 3 information. And I'm like, it was actually 3 years ago. And I think partially because in 2020, we just like launched into the pandemic, and it's been a long couple of years for everybody, I feel like. So Xbox is up against them being too early, but we've talked about this a lot, haven't we, Mag, where Xbox needed to announce games so you knew they had stuff in the pipeline.
Yes.
But stuff is just so far away and it's just been delayed for so long. I feel like this situation has worked against them in every angle.
It's been a very funky generation all around. And the only one that, I just find it's been a little bit inconsistent. We know why. I mean, we had a global situation at the beginning of the launch of the consoles. And then, of course, with the Series S and X. And then, that pushed a lot of things back. And Phil talked about that. He says, we're not going to, 2021 will still be okay, but you're going to feel the pinch in 2022, which he was bang on. But he did say that.
Just a little pinch.
Yeah, just a little pinch. But he wasn't wrong because he said, that's where we're going to get that bottleneck because of the delays that happened because of the pandemic. And then that happened. Then 2023 was significantly better. 2024, I predict to be much better. And, of course, the ABK thing went through. So it seems like the momentum is carrying now. However, we're not going to get into that other topic about going into another generation in a few years. But it just seems like they're just not just Xbox. I'm talking about the gaming industry. I should clarify what I'm trying to say here is that I feel that the gaming industry is now really solidly, after a great 2023 all around, is really starting to get their footing and the ball's really starting to roll. And now all of a sudden there's sights being set on pro systems, on next gen systems, and I'm like, man, you guys are just getting the ball rolling. Can we just hang on for maybe like a couple more years beyond?
You want to know something though, Mag?
Yeah.
Not to run into the whole like next gen discussion already, but
sure. Yeah.
The whole like next gen discussion really is just like I sort of feel like it's just this isn't like NES to Super NES or to N64, right?
Yep.
This is just a variation of a console that's slightly better than what you already have. It's almost like if you had like an iPhone that came out, and a new iPhone, instead of coming out every year, came out every 4 years. That's what I kind of look at. It's like PS4 to PS5, their system, since it's like x86 and all that stuff, is very similar, just like how the Xbox One to Xbox Series X, presumably even to the next one, they're not like the cleared lines of, okay, this is a generation anymore, right? It's just like the back and pat stuff all works, so you can play your games, because there's plenty of people still playing on Xbox One, plenty of people still playing on PS4, right?
Did you see those numbers? Ram, you saw those numbers about how PS5 was like the third most, or PS4 was the third most played platform
but I mean,
this year.
that's from How Long to Beat, and that's a user-submitted website where people submit like what platforms you play on. That doesn't mean anything.
Oh, okay.
That's just because How Long to Beat is basically people play a game and then they submit to that website what platform they played it on.
And then they use the metrics from that.
Okay. And then they use the metrics to be like, okay, well, according to the user submitted data, this is what people are playing on. Because if you believe more people are playing on PS3 than playing on Xbox, then I have a bridge in Manhattan to sell you, essentially, right? But part of it also, Mag, is all the biggest games in the world right now are all cross-gen. Fortnite works across everything. Call of Duty works across everything. So I feel like that line of next generation is blurred a bit, where it doesn't really matter if, okay, you have a Pro next year, and then a couple years later you have a PS6 versus you have an Xbox new console in a couple years, and then another one. It's just they're all just variations of what we sort of already have. They're just more powerful, right?
Sure, just incremental upgrades at this point, very much like the cell phone business. Because the only difference is that, actually there is no difference. I shouldn't say that, because actually the consoles are infinitely cheaper than a cell phone. Like the cell phones you get now are like $2,000-$3,000. They're subsidized by the phone companies, right? So that you're only paying $80, $100, at least Canadian, a month for the phones and whatever else, right? And then by the end of 2 years, you paid for the phone, you paid for the service, and on and on. Consoles not so much like that, so it's a heavier investment for the consumer, except for Xbox, because Xbox did have that the pay plan thing, and so that was helpful. But at the same time, if you're asking for anywhere between $500 and $700, especially like up here in Canada, like a Series X is $750 with tax. Right, so
right now, because it's $350 here in the States.
Oh, no. I meant in general. There's a big sale going on right now. They're actually $160 off up here in Canada. So that's a huge deal.
Well, how much is
in general?
What's the general price for a Samsung Galaxy phone or an iPhone? Like the sticker price when you go into your retailer? Because isn't it about double or a little over double what a console costs?
For us up here, about $2,000.
And if you're saying so over double, right?
Yeah, but like the way it works, like if you get Rogers or Bell, the two big the companies the internet companies up here,
Rogers and Bell, don't they make like frozen dinners?
No, I know it sounds like Rogers and Bell are two different companies. It's not like It's not like what's the other one? Not Haagen-Dazs.
Ice cream.
Ben and Jerry's or something.
Yeah, it's not Ben and Jerry's. Yeah, Rogers
you Canadians,
and Bell
you guys companies. Do they make the ice cream frozen dinners and they provide a quality cell phone service over there?
So Dex in the chat said about $1,200 US. If you do the math in terms of the exchange rate, it's about $2,000. So he's bang on. So you look at something like that. And then, of course, it's subsidized from the company. You pay $85, to $100 a month, and then you get everything, right? You get your internet, you get your unlimited data, you get your Wi-Fi, whatever, and so that's all in there. And so, but the thing is, what I was mentioning with Rand is, if we do this incremental upgrades, throughout the years, where it's a seamless transition from one to another, and they just get more and more powerful, a la the PC market. The only thing is that it's a big ask for people who do not want to invest like PC players are a very special breed of people who are very into the tech, they're very into the thing, and of course they burn a lot of cash for those those video cards and whatever else, right? But console users, not sure they're willing to dish out all that money every 4 or 5 years for another $500 to $700 just for incremental upgrades. I could see what I'm getting at is I think I could see people hanging onto the hardware longer because they know that it will carry into the next generation and then eventually adopt the next one, as opposed to instantly dropping one and moving on to the next one. Yeah. Because if it's working seamlessly throughout, why? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I did a poll on this yesterday, and I know my poll could be very, very limited, but 40% said about 6 years for a console generation sounds more desirable for them. But 30%, so the 30% said 4 years, which is what we're talking about right now. So the mass majority of the people that voted in my poll, like 10,000 people, which just doesn't say a whole lot. But it does say that maybe people are cool with every 4 to 6 years getting a new console. And then there are going to be the people who are like, hey, as long as the games are still coming, I'll hang on to this box the way it is, and I'll upgrade when I dang well feel about when I feel like it. But Rand and I were talking.
Well, because Cold, it's kind of like if you're someone who's playing Fortnite on your PS4 right now, and that's the only game you play, what incentive do you need to upgrade to your PS5 at this point? Or even someone doing it on Xbox? It's like, what incentive is there for you?
I mean, let's be honest. You would know the answer to this. Like, the latest Call of Duty, is it available on PS4?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so.
We always talk about these diehard people that only play one game, and it's a real thing. It's why Jim Ryan was so afraid to lose the power of Call of Duty on their platform. I have a family member who plays only Call of Duty and Fortnite on a PS4, and the thing finally broke. Like, there's no incentive to get an upgrade unless the thing breaks on them. Because, hey, I think Call of Duty on a PS4 probably looks pretty decent. And it certainly plays fine, but I don't know.
The thing, Capono in the chat said, he goes, that's not good for business, Mag. Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion. I think it was when I was talking about how people will hang on to hard and just, a little bit longer before they, climb. Because not everybody, everybody can
Phil
afford.
likes that, remember? Phil says that's good for business. He says the best console customer is the one that buys one box and just continually buys content for it.
At the end of the day, there's two reasons. One, not everybody can afford a console every 4 to 6 years. That's number one. Because a lot of people, especially now, there's a lot of rough stuff going on in the world right now, especially North America, being hit hard financially. And the other thing is, they don't make the money off the hardware per se. The hardware is essentially just the vehicle to get you to the software, because they make all their money on the software, especially a company like Microsoft, which is a software-based service company, right? And that's what they do. That's what they want you to do. They just want you involved and engaged in the software. So they don't care. And of course, we all know their business plan is to keep you engaged. Engagement is the key, whether it's on your tablets, your phones, your smart fridges, your whatevers, and your consoles and PCs. They want you engaged. So I think that they're not too worried about people hanging on to the older hardware. Say, you know what? I think I can hang on another year with this one because it's still comparable. I'm still able to play all the games I want to play. I'll enjoy myself. I could still hang out with all my friends, even if some of them upgraded, some of them didn't. We're all together. And I think that as long as they do that, but the hardcore, which is like the 10 to 15%, will buy all the hardware day one. Those are the ones that, you go ahead. When the 4090 comes out, you had guys lined up to buy it. I'm like, who's got money for that? Like, you could buy half a Hyundai. You know what I mean? For the price of a car for 4090, for crying out loud.
Yep,
So it's it's kind of crazy, but there will always be those whales in the market. But as long as you're engaged in the software, I think that's all they care about.
Dang. Rand, do you disagree with anything Mag just said?
No, not really. No.
This is pretty well done, right?
Yeah, Mag's smart guy. He runs his own business. He knows what he's talking about.
He does.
I don't know, man. I'm a bit of a pony bot, apparently. So
I mean, we all have our vices. So
yeah, we do.
By the way, I don't want to derail anything, but I want to read something. By the way, Colt, this is for us. I got a message this morning.
Okay,
Rand, you should listen to this. This is from Sith Lord, by the way, and I promised him I would read this out. Yeah, great guy. And he sent me this. He said, "Thank you for always making my Mondays better. I know when I'm done with dialysis, I have less than 60 minutes to go home, make dinner, and get ready for the show. And you guys are the last thing I hear when I go to sleep and the first thing when I hop in my car on my way to work. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for making my Mondays." So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to say that. Yeah, I just made that. You know what? No matter, trust me, I read. Alex, I saw you in the chat. I see people writing nasty things once in a while about whatever. And listen, at the end of the day, when you get a message like that, that's all that matters to me. Is that someone out there that you did something, you made them happy, you gave them some entertainment, and maybe you gave them some info they didn't know about, or even something that they could think about. So just thank you, and thank all of you guys in the chat, all you guys and gals in the chat right now and listen to after. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for making a great 2023 for us. Carry on with the show. Sorry, I had to get that in there.
I want to say something because you guys both got me really emotional just now. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts over the many years I've been in this community, and the shows that I've listened to, Xbox Nation, Xbox 2, RDX, all these shows that I used to listen to before I had my own. You guys don't understand that when I tune into your shows, even like Xbox Ultimate and the newer shows that I've been listening to, I really feel like I bring you guys into my home and we hang out in the family room and we talk gaming. So those of you who are here listening to the XC podcast, like, it means a lot to Mag and I. We talk about it during the week, how appreciative we are. And then somebody says, Colt's ugly without glasses and Mag's a pony bot. And then we go, oh, you rascals. But no, but we truly, really appreciate it to hear Sith Lord say that he wants to get home, sit down to some food and listen to our show. It's like, I don't even know how we earned that privilege, but thank you so much. And I'm super grateful to have Rand here too.
It's incredible to hear because I get messages like that all the time, and I honestly sometimes don't know what to say back to that because it's like so disarming, and like someone's being like real with you about like, hey, I'm going through some stuff, which, hey, we all go through stuff, right? Sure. And we've all used different things to get through it, and then someone's being like, you helped me get through some of the worst moments of what and it's like you sit there and like, well, yeah, that's why we do this. Right. But it's just like, man, like the idea that like I could touch someone in that way and make their lives better. Like I'm speechless half the time. I don't know what to say because it's like, that's like a form of like the ultimate compliment.
It
right?
is. Yeah.
And you know what? I'll tell you one thing. Anybody who's ever DM'd me, I have never not answered back. Every last person. I have people talk to me about their private stuff and say, hey, man, and just like you said, Rand, people like getting a hold of us and saying, listen, you made me laugh. Or that thing that you did, or the little skit that you put on TikTok or on YouTube or whatever.
Half naked.
I don't put my stuff on YouTube because I'll get banned. But I put it on TikTok, I put it on Twitter X and all that kind of stuff. So I do that, and I'm like, hey, that really made me laugh. That made my whole day because I'm going through some hard times and this and that. And any kind of content, whether it's here, whether it's my own stuff, and if it touched somebody in a positive way, that's all that matters to me. That's all that matters to me. And of course, right away in the chat, Mag is a pony bot. You guys don't cease to amaze me. You guys always make me laugh. I absolutely love it. I'm assuming you're joking. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Rand and I talk a lot, like almost every day, and
I'm Colt's weekday friend, but not his weekend friend.
I've started to dip into a little bit of calling him when the family's not looking, and just, hey, Rand, I haven't heard your voice.
So we'll talk like Monday through Thursday, but I won't hear from him from Friday through Sunday. It's like I don't exist.
That's when he moonlights at the strip joint, so he's busy. Yeah, got to earn that extra money to buy those guitars.
I'll close this discussion out by saying, Rand and I talk a lot about our personal lives together, and never in a million years would the three of us have thought that we would hold audience with more than 3 people talking about video games of all things. And I say this a lot on the show, that if you went to work and went into the break room, started talking about the adventure you had in RoboCop or Baldur's Gate 3, they'd be like, okay. And they'd walk off.
Yeah. You weirdo. Get out of here. Hey, so what happened on the latest episode of Grey's Anatomy? Did you catch that?
Yeah, and then that's when I go, okay. Yeah, so yeah, we really appreciate it. Let me get some supers. We're going to talk about third party, and it's a different discussion than you probably expected, and I'm really excited to talk about it. It's one of the reasons why I want to have Rand here, because we don't like to give Rand a lot of credit, but what he does give us is a reasonable take with some logic in it.
Should we talk? I mean, since we were just talking about Generations, should we talk about?
Xbox
rumor of a new Xbox coming in 3 years. I mean, is that
before I do that?
Segue.
Before I do that, I did want to bring up as a segue the price cut on Xbox, and I want you to take this, Rand, because you said something that I didn't even think about. Because right now the Series X is holiday priced at $400 in North America, and what did you say? Do you remember what your take was on that?
So it's $350 right now on sale, $350, which is an incredible bargain. I think anybody could say. In fact, it's such a good bargain that it makes the Series S. They just released the Series S at $350, the black one for 1 terabyte. It's the same price. It's like, well, why would anybody buy? So I was thinking, I wonder if they can't go back up to $499. Because it sort of seems like the market has determined that Xbox at $499 is too much, right? And a better price for it would be $399. And I think I know Xbox kind of made the thing of, for the holidays it's $399. I do wonder if that's like going to be the permanent price moving forward, because it definitely seems like there's more traction for the console at that price point, which. It should be. It's $100 cheaper or $150 cheaper. But I think, okay, probably people call me a pony about here. What am I going to say? I think
embrace it.
I think if you put the PlayStation and Xbox side by side at the same price, I think that is a bad spot for Xbox. I think that is to be the same price and compared with that system. I think you need to be cheaper than that system, because the PlayStation is just a more popular machine that people want to own over an Xbox, and we've seen that reflected in the sales here in the US and then the sales in the rest of the world. So I think it would be beneficial for Xbox to actually, and I don't know how they're going to do it. Maybe they use the COD money that they get, right? I think you could see maybe Series X coming in at like that's the new price point starting next year, because you look at what the sales would be, and I know, the console sales are just one avenue of entering the Xbox ecosystem, but they're still an important one, right? I mean, even in the leaks that we got, that from Xbox leaking all their plans that we saw from the FTC stuff, their whole thing was like, the console is the foundation of our business. It's still incredibly important, and you want to sell as many consoles as you can. I just sort of wonder with them going all the way down to $350, if they sort of feel like we really can't sell this system anymore at $499. And if after the holidays is over, if they go all the way back up to $499, people are just going to look at it and be like, no, thanks, considering it was just on sale for $350. So I wonder if we'll see the system just be permanently not on sale, but the new price being $399 after the holidays. I don't know. What do you think, Mag?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. I can't see them going back up higher than $399 after this. I really can't. I can't see them jump back up from $350 going back up to $499. I can't see it. I think that what they're going to try to do is keep that push now, and they're going to do that to get more people into Game Pass, get more people engaged in the product, especially when they have Call of Duty coming in the fall. I think that that's the big push. It's not just going to be for Senua's Saga. It's not going to be just for Avowed. You know that the normies want to play Call of Duty. The best way to get those normies in there is keep the price down so they could use the Xbox as a supplemental console for something that they already have. Because you've already got the Xbox players in the ecosystem already, right? That's not who you're trying to attract. Xbox is not trying to market to Colt, to you, to Jez, to me. We're already there, right? We're already there. The people in the chat, everybody listening, we're already there. You're trying to get those other people. Like, for example, what's the number one supplemental console of all time? Of any, what's the company that makes the most supplemental consoles? Is Nintendo. Because when you hear somebody, I got a Switch and a PC. I got a Switch and a PS5. I got a Switch and an Xbox, right? Because it is always like the cheaper option, and they have that, you know what I mean? They have that over there. You could get a Switch for like $150. I think that's what they're going to try and do with this Xbox here, so that the people who are not in the ecosystem keep it at the cheaper price. That will entice Sony players, maybe not PC, because PC they're getting the same games, right? They're getting the same games that Xbox has, so it would be the PlayStation players and the Nintendo players. You want those people in there, so why keep the price down? You get them into the ecosystem, hopefully, God willing, and then that would push Game Pass subscribers up. It puts engagement up, and then they can move forward from there. I can't see them raising it past $399 beyond this. Wow. That's my thought. And that's just the business model, I think, is to get these people into the ecosystem.
Well, I mean, typically,
that's what you want.
Typically, don't they drop the price $50 to $100 in the holidays and it goes right back up, right?
Well, it depends. Usually not at the beginning, right? Because the product is such in demand that you don't need to drop price.
Yeah, I mean, we're 3 years in, but
3 years in, so
you said earlier, I think you said it off the show, but I agree with you. You said that the PlayStation is being sold at regular price, and it is because the market demands so. But Xbox is already losing money on the Xbox as it is at regular price, and now they've chopped it $100 just to stay alive. And it says a lot about the demand of Xbox in the brand as a piece of plastic. And you guys saying that they could possibly keep it at $400, I totally agree with that. They should. I don't feel like Xbox always does what they should when it comes to making the right choice about price.
They might not be able to financially be able to do that, right? This might also be retailer focused,
but
where retailers might have extra stock that they thought they were going to sell in November that they didn't sell. So now they're trying to shift stock, and one way to do that is to drop price, because Microsoft will tell them, well, this is the MSRP. And they're like, okay, it's $399, but then retailers may be like, you know what? We really need to move these out. We need space for other things. So you drop it another $50. And let's be honest, a Xbox Series X for $350 is a steal. I mean, when I told you about it, Colt, you were thinking about literally buying another one just in case.
Yeah, just in case mine dies. Sure.
Just in case yours dies. $350 is an absolute steal, considering the Nintendo Switch didn't have a price cut the entire generation. They went at the entire generation and didn't have a single price cut.
And they're still outselling PlayStation, so to speak, in as much time.
Well, not really.
In as much time. I mean, they've been outselling the PlayStation since the
Well,
Switch
sure, but I mean,
out.
if you're talking about like recently, the Nintendo Switch isn't really selling anymore because it's come to its end.
Didn't it
Everybody that way.
It just took a drop like this fall, didn't it?
Yeah, because it's everybody knows it's ending. Everybody who wants one has bought one. It's
already got
at the
it.
end of its life cycle. So
this is a perfect question for Mag. And I said this to Rand. Rand said, maybe they can't afford to sell them at a loss of $100 per unit or at cutting the price at $100. But my question for you, Mag, is can Xbox look at this and say we can't afford to not sell them? So as a person who does procurement for a product, like, is it better to get rid of something and liquidate them other than sit on them when no one wants to buy them at that price?
Absolutely. And the reason why, it's a double win. A, you're moving the product out, right? So you want to do that anyway. Sure, you're going to do it at a cut. You're going to do it at a bit of a loss. However, those people, by the way, risk it for the biscuit. You know what? I know it's like whatever. It's Thursday in Australia right now, okay? But I need you to calm down already. Jesus.
Hold on, Mag, hold that thought.
Yeah.
Gaz, shut your filthy mouth. I will literally drive my car through the Atlantic Ocean and punch you right in the taint. He says Doug is hosting XNC.
He sure is.
You know what? Gaz showed up in the chat. Viewership went down 64 viewers in a matter of 35 seconds. Unbelievable.
Oh my
Thanks
God.
a lot. Anyways,
go back to your liquidation question, Mag.
Here's the thing.
What
I think is a great idea here is that you sell it at a loss, you get it out there. But the thing is, you're not just selling it at a loss and then that's it. You're selling it at a loss, but you are opening up the market to the Xbox Store. Game Pass, it's right there when you turn the console on. It's advertised right on the front screen. That's where you get the people, right? So you get them in there, and then you're going to make it up on the back end on services. You're going to get them, and even if they're not in Game Pass, let's say they're just Fortnite kids or something, right? They get a Series S for Christmas, stocking stuff or whatever, right? They're buying skins, they're buying whatever. That portions of that still go to Microsoft. It still goes to the ecosystem. You're still getting them engaged in the ecosystem. The longer they stay on, every minute they're on, Microsoft's making money. So you sell at a loss, absolutely, and then you get them out the door, you move them, you get more people in there, you boost your numbers.
Randy,
when you got a big game like Call of Duty Gulf War, then you really boost it up because they're already there. They're already there. Yeah. They're like, oh, that's coming out? Bang! Let's go to Game Pass for $15. And let's go play Gulf War. You know what I'm saying? That's fantastic, and that's how you do it. And then all of a sudden, Game Pass subscriber shoots up 10 mil.
Jeez,
or whatever.
Man, maybe we should get Mag to go work for Xbox and push some consoles.
I've got a job.
You see, Xbox has been hiring a lot of ex-PlayStation people, huh?
Yeah, what was that? What was that job announcement today?
Did they hire pony bots or no?
It's like a content and service person from PlayStation went over to Xbox.
Like a former PlayStation financial person, PlayStation director of finance and strategy, left PlayStation, and he now joined Xbox as the senior strategic business planner in the Xbox division. So
he walked into the offices eating a Jim Ryan cookie too. It was like, what a great entrance.
But then not only that, but there was the Mina Koto. Me and Jez talked about on Friday, the ex-PlayStation exec that is now working at Xbox, trying to bring more of the Japanese developers and publishers over to Xbox, and she's literally telling them, to grow your business, you can't rely on just PlayStation. You need Xbox. So Xbox has been hiring these ex-PlayStation people, and the industry is small, and people know everybody. That's what they always say. But, it's...
They need to buffer off each other. They need to play. It needs to be a give and take between the two. You can't have just one. And that goes for both sides. You can't have Microsoft by themselves. You can't have PlayStation by themselves. They need each other to feed off, and there's nobody else in the wings coming up. Nintendo is in their own category. You can't even put them anywhere near there. Agreed. And there's nobody else scratching at the door trying to break into the market, at least as far as we know. We know that Apple's kind of sniffing around, but
Netflix is doing stuff.
Yeah, Netflix is doing stuff, but they're doing more streaming stuff. At like look what they just released, the GTA trilogy on Netflix. I think I saw it this, and actually it plays pretty well for streaming off of Netflix. Pretty wild. But anyways, the point is, I'm talking about serious competitors. The only one that's kind of sniffing around is Apple, but they're not committing because they saw what happened to the hell's it called? Luna and the other one.
Luna still exists, by the way. Luna's still around. Google's the one that went away.
Yeah, Google Stadia, yeah. No, Luna's around, but they kind of scaled back in terms of what they're, you know what I mean? Like they're not releasing monster $200 million AAA games and that kind of thing, right? So
well, I believe they are the ones doing the new Tomb Raider game, I think.
What?
They're the publisher of the new Tomb Raider game.
What?
They are?
I didn't know that.
With Crystal Dynamics?
I'm pretty sure Amazon is the publisher of the next Tomb Raider game. Yes,
well, I know that Amazon's doing the show. I know that.
Yeah, I think it was like a package thing where they get the show and the next Tomb Raider game is with Amazon. So
how did Tomb Raider information get past me? I threw my hat off.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe I'm like 99% positive on this.
I'm trying to look it up. Yeah,
but I doubt the game would be exclusive to Luna because nobody owns Luna, and it would be a big catastrophe. But then Amazon, I think, also releases their games everywhere, unless it's just like on PC. So I would imagine Tomb Raider would still launch everywhere.
They only had that one exclusive.
Amazon's the publisher.
Shout out to Fun Speculation. He said it is Amazon. That's unbelievable. By the way, Fun Speculation, how'd you like those Cowboys losing to the Buffalo Bills? Anyhow, I just like to throw that in there.
So Mag, you didn't know that Amazon was publishing the next Tomb Raider?
I am actually really upset that I didn't know that. No, I knew they're doing the show because they're doing the show with the girl from the last Indiana Jones movie. She's writing and producing the show, and that woman there, I always forget her name. So they're doing that. I knew that they were doing that, but I didn't realize that they were also producing the game. So that's actually shocking to me.
One of the reasons why Crystal Dynamics hasn't been shut down yet, is because other publishers are funding the games that Crystal Dynamics are working on, right? Xbox is funding and paying for them to work on Perfect Dark, and Amazon is funding and paying for them to work on Tomb Raider. Because if they weren't, and if it was Embracer, and Embracer had to pay for all that stuff, Crystal Dynamics would probably be shut down by now.
All right, I gotta ask the question: when's Tomb Raider coming out, and when is Crystal Dynamics done with Perfect Dark?
Who knows?
I mean, this is the problem that I talked to Gaz about this. And I said, they're working on a new Tomb Raider. He's like, they are? I'm like, yeah, Crystal Dynamics. And now I'm learning tonight, Amazon is publishing it. He's like, they are? And I'm like, yeah, when do you think that game's come out? He's like, I don't know, 26, 27. I go, and Crystal Dynamics said, we're gonna get out Perfect Dark after that game.
No, they didn't say that. They did not say that.
What did they say? That's what I remember them saying.
No, they didn't say that.
They said go ahead.
It was a insider who has good ties to Crystal said that Crystal was going to release Tomb Raider first, then Perfect Dark.
Okay.
Crystal Dynamics hasn't said anything about it.
Okay.
So I don't know. Here's the thing. For all we know, Blade and Perfect Dark are launch titles for Xbox Next in 2026, which Colteastwood told me in a video the other day is coming in 2026.
Hey, you know what?
Well, I already said Blade was a next-gen only not next-gen only, but it's going to be launching on the next-gen system, and everybody freaked out. And I was like, okay, I'm hearing that from reliable people.
Meg also said that it was going to come out on a Thursday.
Exactly, Thursday at exactly 9:15 a.m.
I got some comments and questions I got to get to before we dip into that other stuff that folds in there. Anonymous Boss, welcome to the Early Access Channel membership. Sith Lord says, hello, gentlemen. Thanks for making this year better. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Rand, he says, stay warm and stay safe. 2024 will be a blast.
Right now in Chicago, let's see. Right now the temperature is
I was going to say
a balmy 24 degrees.
24.
I gotta ask in the chat, do you have snow forecasted for Christmas time? Because I don't think we will where we are. Randy, are you supposed to get snow?
By Christmas.
Check your weather,
looks like we're projected to be in the 50s on Christmas.
We're at 56 degrees today. Up here. It's basically it's almost t-shirt weather in Canada. It's ridiculous.
Well, yeah, it's a balmy 56. We've got a cold front coming in. Yeah, like that. Hargy Chani, thank you for the chat. And shout out to Hargy Chani for doing something really fantastic for a close friend of ours for Christmas. Sent him a big Christmas gift. And Hargy's got such a big heart. And our good friend Fonz from Games Talk Live, Jay Fonzarelli, he's had a doozy of a year. Like, it's been rough. Lost both of his parents. And his job just ended. Like, I've never seen anything like that in the community. And Hargeet sent him a gaming PC, so it was nice seeing you on Xbox, buddy. We love you. Hargeet says Hogwarts got 9 BAFTA nominations, including Game of the Year nomination, but I guess it didn't get snubbed by the Keeleys. Where he rolls his eyes. Happy holidays, everyone. Yeah, it's good to see Hogwarts get its love. Dead Planet says, thank you for the 5 dead. He says, curious on how Mag stays sane going through the pony firing squad. I mean, Crossfire podcasts every now and again. Poor guy shouldn't have put himself through that.
Oh, actually, you know what? I was there. First of all, Mooch is actually a very close friend of mine. So, I went on there last Friday for about 25 minutes or so. And I just passed by, just said hello to everybody and just gave my 2 cents and went on. And no, everybody was actually quite nice. So I can sort of weave my way into different communities and stuff. The number one thing is you want to do that kind of thing. It is kind of funny what you said, but listen, if you just keep it gaming and you try not to be toxic, I know I make jokes about being toxic in my Pony Master videos and stuff, but those are just jokes. If you keep it pretty down the middle of the road and you're fairly nice to everybody, no one really comes. I mean, some people do, but like, there's always going to be that,
Yeah.
But anyways. Yeah, but
Mooch is a good dude. Yeah, we've all known Mooch for a while. JD Gamer, thank you for the $2. He says, pathetic port begging ponies got no games. Yeah, their roadmap looks pretty rough right now. We'll talk about that later. Hargeet drops another 5 and says, I missed the one area that PlayStation is the market leader in, Pornhub, the top game on that system. I'm not familiar with that game. I think it's a turn-based. He says, now we understand why they need
haptic feedback. I made that joke in one of Boom's private DMs too. I said the haptic feedback features on Pornhub are amazing, and you came up with the same joke. Fantastic, amazing, great minds think alike, sir.
I try to keep a level of quality on this show. A level of. No, it doesn't happen. I mean, I had Gaz on here for crying out loud. Red Wolf, the channel member for 19 months. Good friends, his rest in peace to James McCaffrey. Max Payne was the first game that I played where a third-person shooter elevated the narrative with the monologue. So good. Crying emoji and a heart. JD Gamer, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Let's play the lasagna for Rand.
Have you tried the lasagna? It's my favorite.
I mean, lasagna is pretty good.
I mean, lasagna is what they call pizza in Chicago. So
right.
it's like this thick. It's like got sauce on it. It's a big mess. There's cheese. Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're doing down there.
Don't mess with Rand. He knows where the real pizza is.
I know. I'm just messing with him. I know he's just messing with it. All right, achievement unlocked. Go ahead.
JD Gamer, thank you so much for the 2. He says, not a good year for games on PlayStation Ponies got no games. He also says Hellblade, South of Midnight, Call of Duty, and Avowed 2024. I got to ask Rand, we've talked about this. Like, I don't think there's a good chance that South of Midnight's coming out in 2024. What's your thoughts on it?
I mean, I think it could. I think it could. I mean, look, I know a lot of people look at the LinkedIn stuff, and sometimes that stuff's right, sometimes that stuff's wrong. But I mean, Colteastwood, you were there after the 2023 showcase where there was a media event, and they did say that the games they showed could launch in the next 18 months.
Yeah, I actually heard that directly from one of the leadership, but they also said we don't like to say that 12-month things.
Well, sure, they didn't come out and say it, but I mean, there's the possibility South of Midnight comes out, next year.
I guess 18 months from showing is not unheard of for a AA game.
And how big? I was gonna say, how big of a game is it?
I think it's AA because we had heard that Compulsion asked for a AAA budget and was told, no, you're good. I don't know. Am I out of turn saying that, Rand?
I mean, I didn't hear that, so I don't know.
Okay, I heard something like that. But I don't know. We'll see. Compulsion's at one studio that I'm not sure if I know how great they can be. And there's things I really loved about We Happy Few, but they're that one question mark.
Jason Max said it actually pretty much what I was about to say. He just said Compulsion has a lot to prove. I believe that. And the thing is, now that they have access to proper R&D, proper funding, and security with Microsoft, they have the tools to make a great game. So let's see if they have the creative talent to be able to do that. Fernando Mora saying hello from Mexico. Hello.
Awesome.
Hello from Canada, my friend.
Yes, that's so cool to see people from all over joining the show. We love that. I was going to say, this is such a poignant comment when you look at one of the subjects we'll talk about later on the show, is that your favorite studio 5 years ago or 10 years ago is most likely not the same studio that you love to death.
People.
A lot of those people are probably gone. So it could stand to say that the people that were working under no funding or a Kickstarter thing like Compulsion, that now that they've hired up, I think they doubled their studio size since they came to Xbox. They could be a surprise hit game studio, maybe.
You know what?
You never know.
Foolish Duke in the chat said, I'm actually going to stand corrected. Very, very rarely do I do that, but I'm going to say I'm 100% wrong. I thought that Contrast was an absolutely amazing concept of a game. You played it, right? Did you play it? The one where you actually are platforming on shadows and stuff like that?
I played it for like a half an hour, and it was like, it's really dusty at that a couple years ago.
I enjoyed it so much. I ended up getting the 1,000 achievement points on it. I really enjoyed it. I loved it.
Rand, did you play it?
You play it, Rand?
Yeah, I played it twice. Once on the 360 and once on the Xbox One. Cole played it for an hour, but then left it running so it could say he played it for 20 hours. Yeah, ask him how much time he has on Avatar right now, or ask him how much time he thinks he's played versus
I
how much
know.
time the Xbox
I know.
says
I
he's
have.
played.
I know. I have 10 to 15 hours on Avatar, but last week it said I had 45 hours.
I think the
Yeah.
Xbox literally says you have 50 hours on it now.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hargeet agrees with us. He said he liked Contrast as well. It was a great game.
I remember him
So
saying that.
if they can revisit some of that incredible creativity that they utilized in that game, I think that they can have a real gem on their hands for Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really special things about We Happy Few that just aren't fully fleshed out from a game that was taken over by Gearbox of all people. JD Gamer with the 5s, thank you so much. He says, remember Halo Gears Forza mantra? Well, PlayStation, well, he's really toxic tonight. He says, PlayStation.
JD Gamer, did you snort some coke before the show, man? You're like wild.
You like hot fudge sundaes?
Yeah, holy mackerel.
He says,
Anyways, carry on.
well, PlayStation Now has a Spider-Man, Last of Us, and Horizon mantra. Question is, do people get tired of them? I mean, we wouldn't talk about this very long, but I should bring it up now. The Last of Us Factions was canceled after Neil Druckmann said we have so much to show. And then a recent report today said the game was so fun, we had to completely cancel it. And that was reported by DualShockers.
Emotional, damn it!
Yep.
You like hot fudge sundaes? All right.
Ran, I got to hear your take on this. The Last of Us
The
Factions.
faction situation?
Yeah,
Oh.
let's go into it. Let's
I
make
mean,
it
it's
painless.
it's hilarious that the developer's like, dude, it's the most fun multiplayer game I've ever played before and after. And it's like, well, guess what? You're never playing it because it's not coming out. What a crappy thing to say. You know, like, it's just like, oh man, this game was so good, but, I don't know, like, I will say that, and Mag may agree or disagree with me on this, but I will say the Naughty Dog PR statement that they put out about the faction's cancellation was masterfully crafted. Masterfully. Because they presented it as a binary choice to their fans about, hey, you want us to do that dirty live service that everybody hates? Or do you want us to make those amazing Naughty Dog single-player games that everybody loves? And everybody, of course, is going to be like, well, we hate live service.
Sounds like
We
the
love
perfect breakup
single-player.
speech.
So, yes, you know what? This is actually a good thing. This is actually a great thing that you spent 4 years and all this money and all this time working on this game. And you know what? It's fantastic that you finally
With
decided
nothing
to
from
end
you
it.
except for remasters and updates to the same
it's
game.
actually fantastic and genius that you're now going back to single
Rand,
player, right?
Rand, why is it
Masterfully
always
done.
why is it always
Masterfully done.
when PlayStation has bad news, it's like, and this is why it's genius.
Yeah, well, it's like, no, I mean it's masterfully done PR because their fans loved it. They're like, well, yeah, duh, we want single player. Get this garbage multiplayer out of here, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's more complex than a binary. Was either we do this or we do that, right? And it's kind of like, oh, it's like, yeah, okay. The thing is, running a live service game does require a lot of people, does require a lot of talent, does require a lot of resources, and that's something you would have to plan for, and that's something when you're making a game like that, you would know, like, hey, this is going to take a lot of our studio resources away. And it's like, to me, it's kind of sad and maybe an indictment on Naughty Dog leadership that it literally took them how long before they realized that they would, have to essentially make their studio into a like, right? Because originally it was just supposed to be a mode for Last of Us Part 2. And then nobody was asking for anything else. Nobody was asking for a standalone live service game.
They wanted another
mode.
of what they loved so much on the first
game. It was
game.
just give us a mode.
People
and
love
then
that.
they're like, but oh man, this game is so huge now, and our scope and our ambition are so beyond it. We got to actually make it its own thing.
Oh,
so it's like, okay,
Sorry. Go
well,
ahead.
so you they go and they make it its own thing. You think they're progressing and progressing. He comes out at Jeff Keighley's show and is like, oh man, it's like the biggest thing we've ever done. It's on scale with our single player games, showing off concept art, right? Being like,
Bro,
hey,
that
which
concept art was fire, wasn't it?
I mean, look better than Blade's concept art, you know? At least Blade will come out. But, and then all of a sudden, you just...
Third party, though.
You had the Jason Schreier stuff where he was like, hey, Bungie came in there and Bungie shut him down. Bungie's like, nobody's going to play this.
Which was
for more
really
than
not
a month.
well timed on that.
Yeah, and then suddenly the game's on ice. So here you have this statement being like, we're going back to single player. They didn't say anything bad about the game, Mag. They didn't say, hey, guess what? It just wasn't good enough. You know, we couldn't really nail this aspect or that aspect, blah, 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 blah. It was, we made a decision. It was either this or it was single player, right? When in reality, what I think more likely is the case is that Naughty Dog, this wasn't a guaranteed success. And I think that frightens them. I think it also frightens PlayStation. Like, no matter what you do, you could put out Last of Us Factions, and it could have been the most fun multiplayer game, like this developer said. But just putting it out and having the Naughty Dog name on it doesn't mean it's a success. So they could have put it out, and Bungie could have been right and said, hey, nobody's going to play this for 2 months because you guys don't know what you're doing, right? And then guess what happens? Maybe Naughty Dog crumbles. Maybe they got to lay off a bunch of people because now that game failed. So what are they going to go do instead? They're going to go do games which are their bread and butter, which are probably going to be successful, but they will never be as successful as a successful live service is going to be. And we know Sony is trying to break into that because they need that extra revenue. I think they were just scared to release a product that essentially wasn't a guaranteed success and could essentially be the downfall of their studio. And instead of trying and, essentially releasing it like kind of like Halo Infinite, where it had some problems, but then you roll with the punches, or even expand like Respawn, who's able to somehow do Apex Legends at the same time of releasing 2 huge Star Wars games.
Right. Yeah.
They had to build a separate studio to essentially run Apex Legends, but you can do that because Apex Legends is already super successful. Whereas this is a giant question mark. The live service stuff is a giant question mark. So we're going to shift away from that because we're not sure, and we're going to go back to the things that we know are going to be successful, but just not as successful as the other one. I don't know. I didn't really, I don't know. Personally, what I want them to do, I'd rather I'm doing the single player. But if this was an Xbox studio that wasted 4 years of time and is now like, hey, we're scrapping that and we're going back to single player, I'd be thinking about the wasted money. I'd be thinking about the wasted resources. I'd be thinking about, hold on, are you even going to release a game this whole generation?
Yeah, I wouldn't be worried about what they wasted in the interim.
No, I would be worried because
But you have to ask, when is Naughty Dog's next game coming out now that they've scrapped 4 years? Right.
So am I not going to get a Naughty Dog game now until the PS6? Is that the cost of this because you spent all this time and money on this project that went nowhere? So I don't know, Mag. What do you think? Am I off kilter here on this?
I don't think you are at all. Actually, I think that dropping this was probably the best thing they could do. If you weighed out all the different options, tarnishing the reputation of a company like Naughty Dog, I think it would be better to just take the licks right now and then come out with a superior product later on down the road. The way they word it, that's Sony. That's the way they do that, right? That's the way they do their PR work. They always twist it in a way that it makes it seem like this is better for you in the end, which actually they're not actually that far off the mark. Although I would have enjoyed to play it, but hey, you know what? Was this really a surprise to anybody in this industry or anybody who watches close in this industry? The fact that we didn't even see one iota of gameplay of this thing in the entire time they were talking about it leads me to believe that there was no hope for this game to begin with. And the reason why they kept it so under wraps is because it just wasn't going to happen. Dead Planet, that was really funny. He caught what I said when Rand said something about Blade coming out, and I said, yeah, but it's a party. But nobody else caught it. But anyways, back to
I gotta say, I have to say that when I said earlier, before we got into this conversation, that your favorite studios and the people that make that tick are probably not there. There was reports that in Uncharted 4's development, which came out in 2016, that Naughty Dog was in all kinds of turmoil. They brought on 12 studios to help them make The Last of Us 2. Whether you like that or not, it makes a big difference in what I'm about to say. But if you're hoping for the same greatness that delivered the Uncharted series to come back and do something amazing in 2028, I mean, I don't know if those people are still there. I can get really excited about Mass Effect 4, but I remember, hey, all of my favorite people in the early decade of the 2000s era, those people no longer work at BioWare. So I really hope that new blood can come in and recapture that magic, but we have every right to wonder, is this going to really happen? And Rand makes a good point when he says, if this happened to an Xbox studio, we already know that PlayStation cannot deliver the single player and the multiplayer aspect in one package. And I know that 343 has its major problems. They delivered a really great campaign and a really great multiplayer suite that was lacking and had a year of lag after delay, plus the delays, as I mean. But when you stand back and say, well, look what 343 did that Naughty Dog couldn't. I know it's a horrible comparison, and maybe it sounds like it's super console worry, but I don't want to give 343 the props. But when you step back and go, man, I mean, for the Coalition or these other studios to give you co-op campaign, co-op multiplayer, competitive multiplayer, and a great campaign, you can see why these games are taking so long.
Yeah, sure. And the thing is, I think what they did is that they tried to pivot with when they had the Last of Us factions. They were working on it with Last of Us 2. That's when Sony started thinking about doing the games as a service thing. When they started doing that, then they said, you know what, guys? Don't add it at the end of or as a package with Last of Us 2. We're going to release it separate because we're going to start focusing on games as a service. Not entirely, but it's going to be a division that maybe we can break into, and we don't have to rely on Call of Duty money, Fortnite money, Apex Legends money, at least the pittance that they get instead of being able to produce and publish their own game, right? Which is what they wanted in the end. They wanted an Apex Legend. They want their Warzone, whatever, right? So the thing is that they went about it the wrong way. I think that they went to the wrong studio because I know that they could trust Naughty Dog, but the problem is they should have gone with IPs that they've been sitting on for 2 friggin' generations. They've got Resistance. They've got Killzone. They've got SOCOM, Resistance. They've got I mean, it's insane. What are you doing with those?
But they're dead franchises, though. Last of Us has brand power and appeal. Last of Us is HBO show.
But nobody knew what Apex Legends was, and look what they did with that.
Sure. No, you're right. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
if you launch it to a new, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, if you're, look, I just want to say, I think Jim Ryan is a baller. You want to know why? Jim Ryan is a baller because he's essentially piecing out before any of his decisions come to fruition. Like, his main competition just bought ABK, and it's finally rolling in here. But his decision about moving things to live service, he's like, peace, I'm out. Before any of those ramifications ever hit, it's somebody else's problem now, right?
Sure. I got to tell Mag. I got to tell Mag, it's like Jim Ryan getting up from the dinner table at a big banquet room, and he accidentally has the tablecloth tucked into his shirt. And when he gets up to leave and retire, he just pulls everything on the floor. And I know I said earlier about PlayStation not being able to deliver the full package. Nobody can argue with me because they didn't just cancel the Last of Us factions, Rand. They also took a look at half of their games as service projects in the works and mothballed them. Well, and everyone forgets about them.
They delayed them, right? Which makes me wonder, Mag, if Sony was no, that's what they said. They delayed them. They haven't canceled them outright yet. They just pushed them back. But if live service was the way how you were going to grow your revenue because you want your own Fortnite,
right?
And now not only are you pushing 6 of them back to an indefinite time period, who knows if they ever come out. One of your biggest ones, and maybe one of them that had the most chance to succeed from a premier studio view as Naughty Dog, is now basically saying, you know what? We're not doing this, and it's going to be a while before we release our next game, so you can't really expect any revenue coming from them. Where does PlayStation make up the lost revenue that they were expecting to get from this live service push? Because they've already raised the price of games. They've already raised the price of their console. They've already raised the price of their subscriptions, right? They need to grow. Their investors want them to grow. They're trying to compete with Xbox in a sense, and Xbox just went and bought ABK that has a plethora of successful live service games already.
Right.
Where does Sony make up this lost revenue that they were expecting to have down the road now that the live service isn't looking so good? Are you going to get it from single player? I mean, the reason you did this in the first place was because single player has a cap you're selling to the same number of people you're always selling to, but now the games cost more, so you can raise the price of the game. So where is that coming to? Is Sony now going to have to look and be like, maybe we have to do day one PC on everything now, instead of maybe only doing it on games live service releases? Now it's like, maybe we have to do it earlier than expected on the next God of War or the next Spider-Man or whatever, because where do they make up that lost revenue that they were hoping for essentially?
Yeah. Sure, because at the end of the day, what they need to do, and they talked about it before, is that they need to subsidize the prices of those first-party single-player games, and the only way to do that was through those live service games that they were getting. They're still getting those games. The only difference is that they're not getting the same exposure that they were before, because now they don't have the marketing deals, because now Microsoft owns Call of Duty, and starting next year, Call of Duty is going to be splashed with an Xbox logo, right? So that the brand recognition is going to slowly start to shift away. It's not going to happen immediately. There's still going to be a ton of people next year who are going to buy Call of Duty on the other console, right? Yeah. But over time, that brand recognition, and as newer generations of gamers come in, like I've said it a million times before, they're not marketing to us. They're marketing to the young people who haven't even played Call of Duty yet, right? When those people start coming in, when like my son barely started playing, he's 11, right? So he's starting to play now. He's going to see the Xbox logo from here on out, and that's all he's going to know. And so from here on out, PlayStation's going to start pushing away. Right? And now it's no longer going to be the focus. They're not going to have that. So yeah, Rand's right. But the thing is, the conundrum is where they're going to get it from. I think that they should unearth those old IP and give it a shot, because at least you have some older gamers who do recognize the titles. Like I said, your Killzones, your Resistance, or your SOCOM. But if you make a quality game, you can have something that could possibly rival. I'm not saying it's going to beat them. I'm not going to be better. Maybe it makes half the profit of Fortnite, or maybe a quarter. But even a quarter is better than nothing. So I think that they should at least give it a shot, something like that. I mean, Battlefield is always the yin to the yang with the Call of Duty. Maybe not lately, because the last Battlefield was ass trash. But I mean, the other ones all are pretty comparable. Right? And so, like I said, it's like the yin to the yang with Call of Duty. They do well, but they do well enough that they still have enough money that EA is willing to put more money into a sequel. Right? So I think that they should do something like that. Well, and then Microsoft has got, like Loran said, those live service games. Those are Xbox now. And as time goes on, people are going to slowly forget, or not even know at all, as the younger generations, like I said, it's going to be Xbox only, because in their minds, that's all they've seen. So there it is, Yeah. So it's like a war of attrition.
I mean, it's certainly changed from what everything that we've thought of traditional gaming has been turned on its head. And I know I get into these conversations with people about where Xbox is as a brand. And Rand reminds me that, the console's so important to the name or the logo, but it's just one avenue to get people in. And it'll be interesting to see, as Magnum Westward asked, when are we going to see the fruits of the ABK acquisition? I think that's early next year. Red Wolf with the $2 super chat. Hit the like button if you guys are having a good time on the show. We really appreciate you being here. It's funny, Mag flips off his camera and then that flip-flops, but hey, we'll deal with it. Red Wolf says, let's get some ASMR about your favorite candy. Well, I suppose Toblerone would be my favorite. I don't know about Mag. He's not here. Man, what would be your favorite candy bar?
My favorite candy bar is Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. Ooh. I just love it so much. I stick my tongue right through the middle of it to push out that creamy peanut butter and chocolate feeling, and I'm just...
I got to ask you a serious question about the Peanut Butter Cup, Rand. Do you eat the whole thing in one bite, or do you bite it in three chomps?
Oh, I mean, I stick my tongue right through that middle, and I just worm it around and then I take little tiny bites. Little bites around
all the way
around the side. Yeah, all the way around the end.
Do you ever rake your teeth with the little ridges and make little noises?
I do the same thing with Oreo cookies. I unscrew the top of one of the Oreo cookies, and I just get that cream. Put it on my tongue.
You just put a little teeth scrape down the
lick
middle
it
of the
right
cream.
off that Oreo cookie.
Oh gosh. Okay,
let's delete this episode afterwards, shall we?
We'll have to edit that out. Matthew Barrios or Decatron says, thank you for the super chat. He goes, I'm a subscriber and a Patreon member, but I'm really here for Rand. Isn't that nice? He says
That's
also,
very nice.
make sure to put some gas in that generator you're charging your Tesla, Mag. Gamer by Choice, thank you so much for the 5. He says Xbox introduced games. What?
I just got back because I had to go to the bathroom.
Why didn't you bring the mic in?
Leave the mic on? Was he
You
saying
should have
something about
heard. Did you hear the
charging
stuff
my
Rand was
Tesla?
saying about the Oreo cookie?
No, I missed all of it.
Oh, man. I was getting hot under the collar.
I still have gas-powered cars, by the way. I don't just have a Tesla, you know.
Yeah, he said make sure you put that gas generator in. Gamer by Choice with a $5 super. He says Xbox introduces games early. People are upset and impatient, but then they do not announce games and people are concerned. What are they doing? What the heck? Well, Gamer by Choice, the problem is Xbox's consistency, as Mag said, I've said, it's been 8 years since they bought these studios, and the games are kind of sporadic, and they need to be more consistent of when they come out. And then, it's been 3 years with no release dates or release window on some of these games, or we haven't seen anything past the cinematic trailer. That's why. I think once they show that, some of this stuff will kind of ease its way into a little more smooth reaction, don't you think, Rand?
I'm just thinking about Oreo cookies and Reese's now. I'm looking at the chat and they're disgusted.
Rand, would you open up an Oreo cookie and put a Reese's peanut butter cup in the middle, close it back up, and eat that?
I've never done that, but that sounds like that would be fantastic.
I'm going to have to try that. I'll do it. This episode of X&C is sponsored by Oreo Cookies, a Mars brand. I don't know who makes Reese's peanut butter cups, but thank you. Hit the like button if you're having a good time. JD Gamer with another one. He says, pathetic, port-begging ponies, you got no games. He says it with his whole chest.
Say that 5 times fast.
He should have used the more alliteration in there. Pathetic port ponies, you pitiful, petulant. Dex has been a member for 1 month. Says thoughts on the rumors that Microsoft starts a new gaming gen in 2026 early, like the 360 started early. We'll get into that too. JD Gamer's got another one for a 5. What do you guys think about the rumored Paramount acquisition? And what do you mean? What does it mean if it happens and Microsoft goes after Spotify again? Rand, do you want to cover this question quickly? Paramount exclusivity.
The Paramount thing sounded like more like Bobby Kotick was in discussions, and I know people are like, well, Bobby Kotick's head of Activision, so that's a Microsoft thing, but it sounded like it was more sort of like what he was thinking about doing after he leaves, because, he's literally leaving in 13 days, 14 days, so I don't think it was like an acquisition for Activision Blizzard. It was going to be what Bobby Kotick was going to do after his time running Activision. I know a lot of people were like, Xbox, it would be Microsoft purchase, and oh my God, Paramount. But I think people are just, I don't know. I think they want it to happen because they want acquisitions to happen all the time. But I really do think is one of the, because Bobby's got to be thinking about what he's doing next, right? So I think that's what it was about. It was like they talked to Bobby, and everybody's like, well, Bobby works at Xbox. He's like, yeah, but only for another 2 weeks. So
right. So is Top Gun 3 going to be? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think there are gonna be Mission Impossible games, Star Trek games,
or the
Godfather games.
Top Gun 3 would be exclusive to Xbox Blu-ray players.
Yeah, I don't think so. I
remember we were joking about that yesterday about how somebody was like, Black Panther is exclusive to Xbox because it has the only 4K Blu-ray player at the time. It's just the laughable stuff. It's the hopium. What's that, man?
You know what people were doing? When Microsoft acquired ABK and Bethesda, and they make those thumbnails where it says Microsoft and shows all the squares of the different studios and the names of the game, like the big game franchises that they got. People were doing that with Paramount yesterday.
Yeah.
And making like thumbnails with like Yellowstone and stuff. I'm like, guys,
The Neighborhood.
I'm like, guys, it's not coming. They're not coming to Game Pass. I'm like, yeah. They're not coming. It's not like a Game Pass acquisition. I'm like, stop it. This is Bobby.
Hey, I'd be fine with free Paramount Plus with my Game Pass subscription, but I mean, I just thought it was
that might actually be a possibility at this point because all the streaming services are losing money, so there's significantly. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, it is. Hargy Johnny, thank you so much for the 5. He says, so what do we think, how long do we think Generations are supposed to be? NES came in in 85, Super Nintendo was 91, which 6 years later, followed by the N64, 5 years later. Yeah, Hargeet sent that probably when we were around the time we were talking about the poll. I think 6 or 8 years is probably what it's supposed to be, what it averages. But I mean, Phil said, I don't see why we couldn't have consoles be more like your cell phones. And when he says that, it makes people mad knowing a new cell phone or a new GPU comes out every 2 years. But I mean, you just look at the market. Most people upgrade around 4 years. It's like, why not?
Yeah.
And Rand set it up really well. If there was more compatibility down the line with the architecture, where the Series S would just play games and just play them really low grade.
Yeah.
Right?
That's just like. Go ahead,
man.
Go ahead.
No.
Okay,
I was just going to say something real quick.
Because I was going to segue into the whole Xbox in 2026 thing, right?
Yeah.
Colteastwood told me about this in his video. And
he spoke to you directly, though, right?
Yeah, well, he was looking at me in the camera, so I'm like, oh, Colt is speaking directly to me.
That is true.
And it was like, okay, what would be the benefits? What would be the cons of such a move, right? Assuming that PlayStation is coming in 2028 and they're releasing a Pro in 2024, they clearly wouldn't start the next gen. Like, Xbox would get the leap on them. And to me, I guess like the only sort of downside is I would be worried about Microsoft essentially rushing to market a product to essentially beat PlayStation. Very much in the similar vein of... Well, no. I mean, look at the 360. They made it a goal to come out ahead of the PlayStation, and you ended up with Red Ring of Death.
That's true.
Right?
Okay.
And it's saying, like, when we look at the leaked plans that came out a couple months ago from 2022, where Microsoft's plans were, and I saw Colteastwood a video about this, so I know it's true, about an AI-powered Xbox that was coming in, like, 2028, essentially, right? Because the whole kit and caboodle was laid out, everybody, right? You could see Microsoft with all their dangly blitz. You knew when they were doing things, what year they were doing stuff. It was out there for everybody to see, and it was 2028.
Yeah.
So now there's rumors that, okay, that none of that's actually true anymore. In fact, I think there's even talk that the refresh of the Series S and X, which were supposed to come next year, judging from those leaked documents, that those might have been canceled.
Well, hold on. Now, where do you get the notion that? And I'm not saying I don't believe you, but explain to the audience where is it that the
digital
digital
AMD,
Series X is being canceled?
The digital Series X. Well, no, I'm just saying. I think there's like talk among people online that. Like I forget his name, but there are people talking about this, like AMD data miners and stuff like that, and like YouTubers who cover this sort of stuff, that potentially maybe that Series X refresh is canceled, and that they're actually just going to do Xbox Next in 2026 instead. So instead of a new consoles next year, in 3 years you're going to have a brand new generation. Obviously, Phil did say that plans have changed, and that wasn't the true plan that came out. And who knows if he's just fibbing or if he's actually saying the truth. But is there any downside to Xbox launching next-gen, quote-unquote, 2 years earlier than people expect? If you can essentially get the hardware right, and there's not going to be any massive failures like there were with the 360 and Red Ring of Death, because you were trying to beat Sony to market...
That won't happen.
I think those things are already built in at this point. Like,
well, you never know. You never know. I'm just saying.
It's one of the checklists. Like, make sure you don't overheat. That costs us billions of dollars.
I'm just saying. Like, would you guys want the next generation of Xbox to start 2 years earlier than we would think? They actually might have a lot of launch titles lined up. We know Xbox is very back heavy from 2024 and beyond, where they could actually have a whole bunch of games raring to go, and you could start off the generation on a really great footing with really great software, Game Pass and all that stuff. So to me, I don't really see a con. Like, it's like, okay, if you're going to do this, like, as long as the product's good and it's well thought out, and I don't really see, it's like, well, if you don't need to wait to 2028, I guess that's maybe some people would say, like, well, that means it's going to be less powerful than the PS6 2 years later.
Yes,
but then,
it will.
Which is true, it will. But are the power gaps getting to the point where they're kind of the leaps aren't as great as they've been previously? So would it matter that the Xbox Next isn't as powerful as the PS6 2 years later, but then Xbox would launch probably another product later on that is more powerful than the PS6.
I mean, if they did go to 5 years, like I have a lot to say on this, because if they wanted to launch a next gen console, or what they consider the next stopgap in 2026, I would absolutely want to buy one, and I know you would too, Rand, because we've talked about it. Like, we like getting new hardware, and like Meg explained, we're the hardcore. We'll jump on the new hardware. The problem is like, how much do you care about the power differential when 2 years later the PS6 would trounce performance of the Xbox Series X2 in 2026? And I got to read this. I'm going to jump ahead 2 super chats to Face 23 Brooklyn, New York, who's been very tenacious about talking about this.
My buddy Face asked you if it's a problem for Xbox for Grand Theft Auto 5 to be running at 60 FPS on the PS5 Pro and not on Xbox. Is that his question?
Rand, you're the best. This time he actually didn't. Okay. Shout out to Face 23. He is talking about the power, but yeah, he loves that one. And that's an interesting one. I'll just say I don't think it's going to be 60 on the Pro. Anyway, he says, if consoles are not the focus for Xbox, then what's the rush to release a new next-gen Xbox ahead of the PS6, especially since Colt says Xbox doesn't compete in price or power with the PlayStation?
Oh, he's calling you out.
He's absolutely right, because they are not competing in price or power at all, especially with what we talked about an hour ago, where they would be possibly willing to drop their console down $100 cheaper so they can stay competitive in the market. The problem with that statement is Phil and Yoshida both said that monthly active users is their measurement for success, not the consoles. Now, PlayStation has the advantage and the luxury of also competing really well with the consoles and selling them just under the Nintendo Switch. Now they're probably passing them, right? So it is important. Mag also said really well, so I don't have to say everything, that it's just another great entry point that you will bring people into the ecosystem via the Rogue Ally, the Steam Deck PC, or Xbox console. So my thing about if Xbox puts out something in 2026, let me get techie for just a second. Do not expect in 2026 for the Xbox Series X2 to have Zen 6, you son of a biscuit. Okay, I won't get techie. Do not expect to have the latest AMD hardware that came out in 2026. Look at 2024's roadmap or 2025, because that's typically what PlayStation and Xbox do. So the best part about when Rand says they're going to get leapfrog, it won't matter. Xbox is like, if you want more power, get a PC. They've said it to everybody. You get whatever you want. But if PS6 comes out in 2028, Xbox is going to come out with something in 2031 or whatever, and then it'll trounce. Like, I guess maybe it just gives Digital Foundry a longer road of their content. I guess maybe the only drawback, and maybe Mag might have something to say about this, is maybe you put too much pressure on developers, because I would imagine, like, okay, they still have to make the Xbox, 2 Xbox Series S and X versions, right? But now if you got this other brand new system, and who knows if they're doing 2 SKUs again with that, then you like have them make another 2 versions, plus the 2 versions that you're already making on PlayStation, plus the Switch 2 version and maybe the Switch version, probably just the Switch 2 version, plus the potential PS6 version, plus the PC version. Is that too much? Maybe that's a downside. I don't know, Mac, how are you feeling about that?
I think it's too convoluted. I think it's too convoluted of a mess. They're going to have to, at some point, they're going to have to come to some kind of an agreement where there's going to be a seamless transition from one to the other and move on. And it's going to be a power arms race. That's all it's going to be. And it's never going to end. It's going to go, just like you guys are saying, one's going to be ahead for 2 years. Then the other one's going to be ahead for 2 years. Then the other one's going to be ahead for 3 years, whatever, on and on and on. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter outside of about the 15% of us that actually care about this stuff. Yeah. What really is important is compelling software that's going to keep people going to the system. And the proof of the pudding is in front of everybody's face. It's the Nintendo Switch that I could power with a gerbil in a wheel. But it is super popular, and it's monstrous.
Great games.
It's selling amazing games, amazing software, and they sell like hotcakes constantly. Of course, the price helps as well, right? But at the end of the day, like I said, there's only about 15 to 20% that actually are looking at The teraflops, the frame rates, the this, the that, the performance, the digital foundries. That's just that's this big. Those aren't the people that are actually making, okay, we're the ones who actually bring in the normies, as I like to say, because we're the ones who talk to them when they say, hey man, you're a gamer. What do I get for me and my whatever, my son or my family? I want to get a console for my. You'll recommend something that you're playing or that you're engaged in or whatever else, right? So that's where they want to get you. But at the end of the day, it's compelling software. I think that this arms race is just going to be a big mess. I think it's going to be a big marketing push. Like, for example, let's just say, before people lose their minds.
Hypothetically, right?
Hypothetically, let's say that GTA 6 launches with the PS5 Pro. They're going to market the living hell out of that. That's going to be like, you need this.
Oh, yeah. You got 5 more blades of grass.
Assuming Sony has the marketing deal for Grand Theft Auto as well.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's just hypothetical. Right. Or let's just say the Series X is the one that gets it. Say, you know what, the Series X, this is where you're going to get your best opportunity to be able to play GTA 6 or whatever with the best technology and this and that, if they can get it out before the whatever the other guys do. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, it's compelling software. It doesn't really matter. It's what they're going to do with the power narratives is they're going to use it and they're going to clamp onto the software. Say, you want to play the games the best way, you play it over on our system. And that's all it is. But I think they're just going to use it as a marketing tool.
How much of a I just got to ask Magnus, how much of Switch's success is also predicated on the ability to take your games anywhere? Right, like the mobile factor. Do you think Xbox should make their own handheld?
Well, did we not hear something about a hybrid situation with the Xbox? Yeah, there's a potential next console that will have some kind of a hybrid tech that you could be able to take it on the road with.
So it's crazy.
Are you a fan of like the idea of Xbox doing a single console that's powerful, but then also a handheld, an Xbox
why not?
defined handheld, and that's what they go with? You'd be good with that?
It's weird because the leadership loves those handhelds. Like, you've got Sarah Bond and Phil and their leadership people playing on the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally, and they love it. It's like, hello. Like, this is something people want. The shift to talk about when you say like being able to play your games or take them where you want to, there's a couple of factors. The reason why Xbox, even during its success rate right now, is not selling more consoles. One of them is you don't have to have the console. The other one, which I want to ask you about, Rand, is Xbox has had a pretty good gen where they've launched some pretty good games, but they've also had a lot of falters that PlayStation hasn't really experienced. And when we talked about 2023, like Redfall was a huge black eye for Xbox. And then Starfield had meteoric expectations and ended up being a really great game that didn't change the world. Like Todd Howard said, like it would change your perception of your existence. Those things are super important. Those banger games that you have to have isn't that, Rand, a total vehicle to sell a non-requisite console?
What, the games?
The games, like the
games
banger
are the most important part.
To have games.
Yeah, they're the most important part. And Xbox was able to sell a console with just Gears Tactics, and they sold a lot of them too. But I mean, you look at Xbox and what they have set up with ABK and Bethesda and all their internal studios. You know, the games. You know, like that situation. You would imagine if you are launching something in 2026, you could have a really great steady flow of content, not only like starting, this year, 2023. I think 2024 is going to have probably 7 games or something. We don't even know. I mean, there could be a Fallout remake. There could be Forza Horizon 6 because that's 3 years, although who knows? A Gears, collection like Special Nick says. So there could be 7 games next year, and then 2025 could have 7 games, and you could essentially keep on having all these great experiences tying into the new platform with the whole like, hey, we got Blade as a launch title. Perfect Dark is like launch window.
Fable.
We got Elder Scrolls coming. We got new Call of Duties that have the Xbox market. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe that's what they're thinking about. Maybe it's like, hey, this is a better way to do it than our other plans, but we don't know. I mean, that's just like you see some really techie YouTubers talking about it and some like quote unquote insiders, AMD people talking about it on Twitter. Is it going to happen? I couldn't tell you. I don't know, but I did see a Colteastwood video about it, so
I mean,
I did see that.
You gotta understand there are people who work in the hardware scene who have seen Xbox probably looking at striking deals or sniffing around certain configurations for an SoC to build a chip that would be in the next console. And where there's smoke, there's fire, which we always hear about. And we know Phil said they're already working on the next consoles, and maybe some of that talk was about the new 1 terabyte Series S, or them possibly concepting the digital Series X, which may never come out. I don't know. I think if Xbox wanted to continue to push hardware like they sell controllers, that they should continue to make that digital Series X. But it really has to be the games. And I think the 2024 shows that they have the games. Like they can't have a flub like Redfall, and they certainly have to go the extra mile in their games. And I'll sit here as a major Xbox fan and say that Xbox has to approach every single game they release as, instead of this is great or this is good enough, they have to say, what can we do to elevate our brand and the strength of Xbox Game Studios? You have to ask for more from those games. We've got Hello There with the $10 super chat. Thank you so much for this. Says, with Xbox and Nvidia's recent partnerships, why not have next-gen Xbox be with them? The best way I see for them to launch 2 years early and still compete with the PS6. Switch 2 ports will be easier as well. And I think maybe what Hello There is talking about, why doesn't Xbox stop going with AMD and go with NVIDIA? And from my limited knowledge of PC building, I'm pretty sure AMD is cheaper per
it's all money really.
Part. Yeah,
it's just money.
Yeah. And you get really great performance out of AMD stuff anyway. Red Wolf says, hey, Rand, can you get a camera? Thanks. Yeah, he's working on
it. Why? Did you want to see me camera close up when I was doing my ASMR Oreo cookie? And
Mag and I would pay for that. Did you want it?
Mag didn't even hear it. So
no, I didn't even hear it. I had to go to the bathroom.
Well, to be fair, he did go to the bathroom during that.
He did.
Oh, geez, come on, man. Where are we going with this?
Red Wolf wants you to say, Mag, did you see what I said? Or maybe he wants to know if you said something.
No, someone actually said something at the beginning of the thing, but everybody's actually been pretty cool in the chat, so it's actually been it's been a pretty chill night. Actually, it's never the live chat. You know what? That's the funny thing, eh? The live chat has always been really nice. They're always supportive of what we're talking about, what we're doing, and everybody else, and they're always great. It's the comments after the show that the literal crystal meth psychopaths come out. I don't know where these people come from, and they're like, Meg needs to go to hell in a handbasket because he mentioned another console in 2 hours. And I'm like, Jesus, man. Or they say something like, Colt, I no longer look forward to your face. And I'm like, Jesus, what's wrong with these guys?
Colt, you look like Doug from Nickelodeon. I told somebody, I'm like, I like having Mag talk about PlayStation. And then I messaged Mag, I'm like, you know what? Stop agreeing with me. And he's like, well, Colt. But
you know what? When I bring it up, and this is the part where a lot of people get misconstrued. I bring it up to buffer it against a topic that we're talking about Xbox.
It's not a vacuum.
Idea. It's not. It's like you're talking one. It directly affects the other. It's not like I'm sitting there riding a pony. I'm just so excited. I'm talking about it because it's important and it's relevant. If people can't see that, actually, someone else in one of the comments, he said, I could see that people are living in an echo chamber. It's actually quite sad. And I'm like, because they're not looking at the full picture. Anyways, I was going to say something real quick. Sorry, go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, I can understand.
Go.
I just want to say, I can understand when we're talking about the Last of Us faction cancellation, some people may be, it could be kind of like poison ivy, I don't want to hear about their crap. I don't care. So, anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Jason Max, thank you. He goes, I saw someone you call you maggot. Yeah.
Well, that would be a compliment at this point for Mag, but... and speaking of maggots, if you maggots would, we've got almost 900 people watching. If you would hit the like button, get us up to 500, it would really Xbox achievement unlocked. It really helps. We appreciate it. If you're here and you're in the chat and you're talking to all your friends inside, minimize it for just a second. Hit the like button, and if you don't, I will club a baby seal. Thank you. Son.
Even unlocked. That. Innocent animal murdered by Colteastwood.
Nothing really entices your audience than giving them a vital threat. Yeah.
I was going to say one thing to wrap up that little topic that we guys were talking about, and talking about how it really doesn't matter who comes up with what, who comes up with where, and what times these consoles release and when this, and who has the more power and this and that. At the end of the day, I was talking about compelling software. If you actually look back at the Xbox 360 generation, what did they have about? They went through hell with like Rand was talking earlier, with the red ring of death. People were sending in their consoles. They literally had a factory full of dead consoles that they had to refurbish, and then they sent back out in the world. They lost tons of money, whatever else, but people kept going back to it. Instead of saying, screw this console, I'm going over to wherever.
I ate a red ring of deaths. That's what I always heard.
But they kept going back. Why? They kept going back because the software was look at how many incredible titles on Xbox during that generation. Games. Right. Well, they were great. They were all great. And then even games that were third party but they were still exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem, like the first Mass Effect, for example, right? BioShock, another one, right? So you look at those things and people kept going back. That's the key to all of it. The key to all of it, it's not about, this one is like 0.8% faster than the other one. Nobody cares. They care about the games, and they care about staying in there and playing again. And then when they're at work and they're thinking about, man, I think I know what I'm going to do with that puzzle when I get home. I'm going to go in and then whatever. I'm going to check the closet for the missing shoes or whatever, right? And when you're thinking about that stuff, that means that they gripped you, right? And that's how Microsoft's got to do it. That's how ABK, Bethesda, Xbox Game Studios, they have to do stuff that makes you think about their games after you're done playing them. You're lying in bed and you're thinking about them.
You never logged off of the 360 or the PS3 because your favorite studios put out a new banger every 2 years. I think it was like the average development for a big game was like less than 3 years.
Yeah. Although what Mag said is 100% right. He's also, but it's also just half the story because let's be honest, the PS3 early in that time was a catastrophe, and the reason people kept on going back to Xbox was because
PlayStation had no games.
The PlayStation 3 was doo-doo water in the beginning, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted it and had nothing.
It was overpriced.
Well, yeah, that's how this video game stuff goes. One of the console manufacturers makes a mistake. Yeah. PS3 made a huge mistake. Suddenly, the 360 and the Wii are just like unstoppable juggernauts. Then all of a sudden, the Wii to the Wii U. Wii U is one of the worst selling consoles of all time. And then Xbox shot themselves in the foot with the Xbox One. This is like kind of the only generation where nobody really made any mistakes.
I mean, Nintendo's due, Rand. They're due.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to do a Switch 2 and they'll be perfectly fine. Their games will still sell millions. People are really anticipating that. I mean, maybe you could talk about like what's going on behind the scenes at PlayStation right now with all the, like cancellations of games and Jim Ryan leaving and all that sort of stuff. Maybe that's like, but I don't think most people would even know about that. I think that's only what people like on the YouTube space or even the Twitter space even think about. Most people are just like, I've got my PlayStation, I'm playing 2K and I'm good. I got my PlayStation, I'm playing Fortnite. I don't care about any of their first party stuff, right? Mm-hmm. I think the only people that, I think that most people, nobody screwed up. It's just that PlayStation and Switch are just so far, they're just so much more popular than Xbox is. Xbox sort of needs someone to screw up, even though they're doing everything they should be doing, right? They got a powerful system. They got a competitively priced second system. They have all these studios making games for this service that everybody says is the best, right? But it's just because the Xbox isn't viewed as a popular system in comparison to the other ones.
Yeah.
Maybe they do need someone to really fall flat on their face,
Well, I mean, if I look forward at Xbox's franchises that they've announced that they're working on games for, I wonder if some of those studios will falter like that they have. Like, you're right. When you look at mostly for Xbox and PlayStation, they've done a pretty good job with just a couple of mistakes when it comes to games. But Xbox has Indiana Jones, Perfect Dark, Blade, Elder Scrolls 6, this just generation. Clockwork Revolution, Avowed, Fable, State of Decay.
Will they be this generation though, Colteastwood?
Elder Scrolls 6, maybe not. Flight Sim, Hellblade.
I mean, Max says Blade is next gen. I guess it'd be cross gen, but still.
Somebody asked about Contraband, and Contraband's being made by Avalanche, who made Mad Max and Just Cause 2 and 3 and 4, I think. I don't know. That's another question mark for me. I'm like, I love Just Cause 2 to death, but they really just didn't nail it with the other Just Cause games, and they did a great job with Rage 2 in concert with
Rage 2 is a great game.
People love Mad Max as well.
Right.
Mad Max was a fabulous game. Actually, Mad Max was the first game I ever played on Game Pass. Fun little fact. Because it launched, remember that? With 100 games that it launched with. Mad Max was one of them. That was and Mad Max was the very first Game Pass game I ever played.
But you already played it on PlayStation or what? You played it before. Mad Max is fantastic.
That's Ponybot talk.
Well, let me ask you guys if just regarding Contraband really quickly, like some of the Just Cause games are great. Mad Max is fantastic. I think Rage 2 is pretty darn good. Like, what are the chances that Contraband ends up being on the good side instead of the bad side of reception?
We'll find out.
I mean, it's tough to say. What the trailer we saw was just an announcement trailer. We don't know what it looks like, what it plays like, what it's supposed to be. I mean, we have like some Jeff Grubb and Jez reporting on it, which I do think they kind of probably revealed it too early, right? Remember, this was Project Typhoon that they had talked about, and then eventually was Contraband. So,
I mean, what are Jeff and Jez saying about like it's third person? It's
I don't know. I don't know.
Era thing.
You'd have to ask Jez. I don't really remember the details on what that is, and maybe it's gone through a change. Maybe it's like refocused a bit.
Yeah.
And like you have Grand Theft Auto coming out next year, and I wonder if it's one of those things where like, man, you better come out before Grand Theft Auto, otherwise your heist game isn't going to be. Does anybody care about a heist game after Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, right?
It's going to be rough because I assume Contraband is a third-person 1970s era cop
it's
chase
also
heist game.
supposed to be more vehicle-centric. It's supposed to be much like kind of like what Rage 2 was doing with a lot of the vehicle stuff.
That was
supposed to be more vehicle-centric than like on-foot stuff. I don't know. We don't know because we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it in 2 years. Maybe we'll see it this year. E3, right?
Yeah,
because Xbox showed up at the Game Awards and dropped some big announcements. We expect there to be a direct shoon, and maybe they have more surprises lined up because they got a lot of games they need to roll through.
I mean, the direct was 5 games last year. Like, does Xbox say, let's just pick 5 games and show those in January, February, or do you think they're like, hey, we kind of need to show more because they possibly have 6 games coming out from their camp.
I think if they just show just 2024 for now, I think that's good enough. Because you're gonna have a nice solid push. If you show, let's say, 4 games for this year or 3, well, you can.
You also have the June show, Mag. Not long after that.
Right. Okay. So that the June show is what you reserve for your Call of Duty reveal. And then you touch into the beginning of 2025. Shout out to Double Barrel Gaming, by the way. Go sub his channel, please. Let's get this guy on a high note at the end of the year, please. Let's get some major subs over there. What I was going to say is I think that at the June showcase, you show Call of Duty, you give a better look at what's coming out in the fall, and then in the early from the January to May sort of release, and you show what's going on over there, and then it gives you just a little bit of a taste what's coming out the year before, but. Still, focus on what you got coming up this year because you want to stack heavy for the fall, right? Fall's always the Super Bowl of gaming time anyway, right? So you want to do that, and you got a guaranteed, a banger with Call of Duty, presumably. So the best time to do that reveal would be in June. I think you do that in one other game.
What if Sea of Thieves and Hellblade 2 were working on a PlayStation port for the near future?
I could see Sea of Thieves, but not Hellblade.
What kind of lopsided logic is that?
Well, because Sea of Thieves is a games as a service game, that would make sense to have that sort of.
But it's 6 years old. Like everybody, the masses that have played it, like how many would jump on a PlayStation to try their hand at Sea of Thieves?
Oh, I don't know.
How many?
It couldn't hurt.
How many? No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, there's probably more on the Switch than the PlayStation. I think it'd be more successful on the Switch.
Sure, yeah, that'd be a great game for like playing. Like,
but I mean, like you're talking about, like, hey, this game or that game? Like, it'd be the games as a service game because Hellblade's a one and done.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying games as a service.
Yeah, you're selling Sea of Thieves, and then Sea of Thieves also has microtransactions, and it's a game that you play for hundreds of hours. Like, yeah. Like
So-
you would do that over Hellblade 2, which is a one-time purchase.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the logic being that games as a service titles that have microtransactions or have an extended life where they can bring people to stay on the platform playing would be a good
Why are you
thing
bringing
to-
this up, Colteastwood?
I was gonna say,
this
that
was out of
came out of-
nowhere. This was like left field. Like, hey,
I was ready to say goodnight, and all of a sudden he's like, "What do you think?"
Colteastwood
I'm like,
wants to-
"Whoa!"
what are we talking about here? Are we talking about third-party Xbox, Colteastwood? What's
So
going on?
someone that I can't say talked about it on their podcast, but like the possibility of Xbox picking and choosing which games go third party. And I know that people, like, where there's smoke, there's fire yet again, but there's people who are trying to figure out what this could really mean. And when I hear people say, oh, you know, they can put the smaller games on, that's fine. I know Jez Corden said publicly on socials, he's like, I could see the ABK games and maybe some of the smaller games. But for me, that logic doesn't really hold water, okay? Because they signed an agreement that Call of Duty will remain on PlayStation, but what is the rationale to just pick and choose which games? If Microsoft and Xbox want to make more money by selling their games to more people, by putting them on PlayStation, the answer is not, oh, this one's live service, oh, this one's smaller. The answer is you put them all on PlayStation and you make a ton of money on the PlayStation platform. And then if you want to draw people over to Game Pass through value and choice on the what device you want to play on, you get them to subscribe to Game Pass.
Yeah, but I guess the question is how many people are going to subscribe to Game Pass when all the games are on other platforms that more people own? Right? More people own a PlayStation and a Switch than own an Xbox. So,
Right.
like, if you were putting all your games on those other platforms, like, people would just get the games there. There would be no, like, it would just be people on the Xbox platform who would subscribe to Game Pass, but then you could make the argument that there's no really need for an Xbox console. I mean, you can make the argument that there's no need for an Xbox console now because you can play all their stuff on PC, and it, you know, and people have moved to PC, but that's kind of like PC at console are kind of still a little different. They're not the exact same, but if you were to be like, all right, we're putting everything we make on all the other platforms, then what really defines Xbox then? And it's not much. In fact, I think the Xbox platform would decline very rapidly because most people will look at it and be like, well, I can just get a Switch and get all the Nintendo games and all the Xbox games. That's where I'm going to go. Or I'm going to get I can get a PlayStation and get all the PlayStation games on the Xbox games. That's where I'm going to go. And I think you would see a lot of people like just abandon the Xbox console. So, I mean, in this hypothetical scenario of Xbox going third party, because I saw it was in your title and your thumbnail, obviously, we don't know Microsoft's intentions as a huge trillion-dollar corporation. We have heard testimony and emails and all that stuff basically saying, like, Phil made a decision for all the Bethesda games to be exclusive and all this sort of stuff. You know, the Indiana Jones, they went back and renegotiated exclusivity instead of it being multi-platform. You do these things for a reason because the exclusives shine a spotlight on your platform, right? On Game Pass. Blade being on Xbox and PC and in Game Pass is going to be a huge moment for those things, whereas Blade just in general being on every platform instead lessens the impact it would have for the Xbox platform and Game Pass because it's diluted because you can get it everywhere else, right? And even though Mag said earlier that all the streaming services are losing money, all the streaming services also all only have things that you can watch on their platforms. Like you can't watch Netflix originals on Max, and there's Max shows you can't watch on Amazon because it gives like they're trying to give you a reason to sign up to use that platform. And if Xbox were to take that away and be like, actually, no, we're third party now completely, and we're putting it everywhere, like there's no reason for a lot of people to buy the platform. And then you have to worry about third-party developers supporting the platform. Xbox fans are always worried about the idea of games skipping the platform.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of Japanese games skip the platform because Japanese games maybe don't sell very well. So they're not really, Xbox isn't really a targeted platform for it. And although Xbox has tried their best to get the Personas and the Yakuzas and all that stuff. But if you were to do that, and the combined user base kind of just dips, because it's not like Xbox. It's not like every third party is knocking down Microsoft's door to put all their games on the Windows PC store, because they're not. They're still like putting stuff on Steam. You could see the platform declining to the point where people might have to be worried about bigger games not releasing on the console because the user base isn't there anymore to support it. So what I'm trying to say here is one, I don't know, right? I don't know what the future holds. I think the industry always changes. 2013, if you look what the industry was then compared to now, there would have been things that we never thought would have happened. So who knows what the industry looks like in 2033?
Mm-hmm. Let me say, when I posed that question to you, I did that on purpose because we had talked a few days ago where I said
you're always concerned.
Yeah, let me do a devil's advocate and sell the reason. Like, why would someone say Xbox would go third party? And that's why I said, like, why not sell everything to everyone? And I truly don't believe that. And I'm glad you said what you said, Ram, because I've always talked about how the console has been kind of minimized in the ecosystem, but it still has its place to bring people in as one avenue. And I 100% agree with you that if Xbox removed that altogether and put everything on PlayStation, that you couldn't draw people to Game Pass or to the console. And then you brought up the extra thing, Rand, where you don't think Xbox gets enough third-party support now? Like, the console would almost completely dissolve away naturally. Meg, we're over time. I don't know if you want to stick around for a few more minutes, or if you want to give your piece.
I'm going to give you my piece on this, and then I'm gonna peace out because I do have to get going. I was going to say, I could see, as I've mentioned it before, we've talked about it on previous shows and everything else. I think that, of course, your first-party single-player games are going to remain exclusive. And the reason why, again, you're trying to bring people in with compelling software, right? So they look at that, you get them in the ecosystem. Oh, Indiana Jones is a banger. It's up for Game of the Year. I got to go and play that game. That's what happens on the other consoles. Like, I barely touched the Switch, but I heard that Mario Wonder was a great game. Guess what? I bought Mario Wonder, and I'm playing it on the Switch, right? So, it draws me over there because it's something that's of quality. When you do that with those first-party games, if you're setting, and this is, of course, hoping, God willing, that the games actually hit and they're a critical success and a success with the fans and the players. That would be, obviously the big bonus. But I'm looking at things like that. So you got like your Senua's Saga, your Fables, your whatever, all these other games coming out. Okay, and if they all hit, that's how you get those people in the ecosystem. Now, the other thing, if you get your Call of Duties, your World of Warcrafts, and all the other games that are multiplayer. Okay, obviously you keep those multiplayer, and I think you keep multiplayer forever. They go 10-year contracts, none of that. Just keep it over there, keep it everywhere that everybody can access. Why? Because the longer that people are engaged and the more people are engaged on multiple ecosystems, you continue to make more money. If you narrow it down to one console or even two consoles or just Xbox and PC, the player base is going to die quicker. Look at what happened with Gears 5. Look at what Gears 5. I know there's a very, very hardcore player base, but the numbers dwindled very quickly because it was only accessible in a very small market, right? Same thing with Halo Infinite. Mind you, Halo Infinite, because they didn't have a lot of post-launch support for that first year. Now the game is fantastic, like in the multiplayer side, right? They got all kinds of stuff in there, all kinds of goodies. They should actually do a whole new PR push with the Halo Infinite thing now. I think they should do that to get people back in there, and they are. The numbers are climbing back up again. However, you look at these, like the Call of Duties, your Fortnites, and everything else, when you get those multiple ecosystems all engaged at the same time, the game lives for longer. And each month that passes, more microtransactions, more season passes, more skins, more whatever, right? More guns, more Cardi B's, more whatever. You know what I mean? Or Nicki Minaj's, whatever, whoever the hell they had. I had one kill me the other day, and I'm like, really? Pink hair and a little bikini running around. But anyways, the point is that you're making that money. And so therefore you keep it everywhere. But you need to keep those other marquee titles exclusively to the Xbox and PC so you draw people in there. But those games, there is a caveat to this, and the caveat is those games have to hit. You cannot go into a Game Award season with no wins on a big title. You need that title to be there as Game of the Year nomination. Whatever. I'm not saying the Keeleys are the end all, but it sure helps.
Yeah.
It sure helps when you have tens of, millions and millions of people watching. You want that exposure. You need that exposure so that the peers and the media and whatever else, even if there is any form of bias against Xbox, they will not be able to deny it if the game is a 10 out of 10. And that's what they got to do on top of that. So you get those games. That's the concentrate. That's what you got to do first. Focus on making quality games, and the people will come. And that's what it's going to be at the end of the day. Anyways, I have to get going. Thank you. I have to get going. I want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's. I have to go. It's I got to make another call too before I head out.
Yeah, it's super late for Mag, and he gets up early and he has to do his calisthenics and have his prune juice. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Thanks. I just wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays if you don't celebrate Christmas. Be safe, be well, be with your families, and we'll all see you guys on January 7th when we return in 2 weeks' time, back to do a whole renewed re-energy for the new year, and we'll look forward to seeing what kind of great things that the gaming industry has for us in the future. Rand, Colt, we'll talk to you guys real soon. It was an absolute pleasure. Guys, have a great evening. Have a good night.
We love you, Mag. Thanks so much.
Love you, man.
Yeah.
You're the best, Mag.
Yeah, Mag is awesome. He had to give that super speech before he bounces out. I'll switch over the overlay once he is puts a thumbs up on the way out before I switch to the other overlay. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so difficult to say, Rand, where Xbox had really great games this gen, but am I allowed to say that, barring all this, that the console still sold fairly well? Like, it's just under the Xbox One, which is kind of ridiculous, but like it's still selling, which is weird. I don't know. I think they have to have those really killer games. You and I talked about Forza Horizon 5, like how big that game was, just a racing game, and people were like, I gotta play it, I gotta have it, and it started to move things for Xbox, but they just don't have that often enough.
Didn't help when Xbox had a 2022 where nothing really happened, nothing came out for them. Right. And Phil, even in his email, said it was disastrous. So, yeah, I don't know. The third-party discussion it's like one of those things where PlayStation guys love it because, they want to see Xbox fans upset, and then like, oh, we get all the games and we whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So they love it, and it's this weird thing because Xbox is like totally. Xbox has games on other platforms, right? Like Minecraft and the Call of Duties and all this sort of stuff. And there's always question marks about what they're doing with their games. I mean, people debated whether or not Bethesda's games would be exclusive, right? About what Starfield was going to do until Phil came and was like, actually, this deal was about exclusives, and those games are going to be on platforms where Game Pass exists. But even with that said, people are questioning Blade because the logo wasn't there, and the trailer wasn't on Xbox's channel until recently. So people are like, well, what does that mean, right? And then with ABK, it's like, all right, well, you signed a deal for Call of Duty, and we know you have some other things in the work. So it's like, what's going to happen with the new Blizzard game and stuff like that? And nobody really knows because they haven't really talked about any of that stuff. So,
I mean, why do they do that? Every time Xbox has an announced game, everyone on the planet says,
I don't think it's here's the thing. I think I've told you this. You get stuck in the Twitter echo chamber. You think Twitter is the entire planet, and it's not, right?
But
so you think, and not everybody in the world is thinking that.
Fair.
Right. So it's like, okay, it's just some people questioning it on social media that you're involved with. I don't know. Is it an interesting devil's advocate discussion of like, hey, what would you do if this happened? Absolutely, right? Because it's just like, okay, what would I think? How would I react or whatever? Do you actually think it'll happen? And that's where the rubber hits the road because I don't really see it happening. I mean, I can see edge cases. We saw As Dust Falls come to PlayStation recently. Ori has gone to Switch. There are those scenarios where I think Microsoft wants to help out some of their second-party developers, when they release stuff like that they are like, okay, yeah, like we want to help you out. But I would imagine there would be quite an uproar if something like Halo Infinite came to other platforms, or Gears, or Forza. Even though you can make the argument, and people might chat, just hear me out for a second. Even though you can make an argument that what's best for Halo and what's best for Forza and what's best for Gears is to be on as many platforms as possible, including the Switch and the PlayStation, because those are live service games that rely on players and microtransactions to survive.
Yeah. People didn't like it when I said that 10 minutes ago, but I said it kind of on purpose. Yeah.
Right, but you can make that argument. Is what's best for those games what's best for the platform, though, is the question. And that's
as opposed to best for the game?
Well, you could do what's best for the game, where like Halo Infinite, what's best for the game probably is to get more players and be in more places. Mm-hmm. But do you put that in priority over what's best for the Xbox platform, where what's best for the Xbox platform is exclusives that are going to push Game Pass subscriptions and get people to actually buy the console or play on PC Game Pass or buy those games on Steam, right? And in that scenario, you probably would say, no, you would go what's best for the platform instead of what's best for the game, right?
I mean, Halo, Gears, and Forza are already available to nearly every screen except for a PlayStation. Like, colloquially speaking, right? You don't have Halo, Gears, and Forza on Switch and PlayStation, but you have PC, you've got Steam Deck via a couple of changes, Rogue Ally. I know,
but you're still looking at like over, 160 million PlayStation 4 and 5s plus 130 million Switches. There's a lot of people. There'd be so many people who'd be like, oh my God, I would love to play Halo Infinite on my Switch and take it on the go. That don't have a ROG Ally because they already own a Switch, right? Like,
yes, because with the PlayStation platform and Switch, it wouldn't be the 160 million, right? You look at 15% of that, so it's like an easy 2 million on the Switch and an easy 3 to 5 million on PlayStation, right? Like an extra.
Well, I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm just saying
something like that.
There's there's the argument you can make of what's best for the game and what's best for the platform.
So, and in your opinion, where do you think Xbox and Microsoft gaming's head is at when they say what's best for? Where do you think they're leaning? Because these supposed insiders are saying, let me just say something or kind of make it up. Oh, I'm hearing that this studio has been told, get ready to make a PS5 version of your game in the near future. Or maybe they're hearing, hey, we might be getting a PS5 dev kit sent over to the studio. I don't know what that means. Like, I just wonder if that's what people were hearing, and not, some of it is completely fabricated, or it's a cross mix. Like a game like Ori and As Dusk Falls, which you've covered a lot, is a game that Xbox Global Publishing or partnered with the studio to make, and then you see it go to the Switch, and people are like, "What? PlayStation doesn't do that," but.
Well, and Nintendo doesn't do it. PlayStation did do it with MLB, but that was more MLB's decision, right?
Correct.
To bring that game everywhere. I don't know. This conversation is a little bit odd because we've seen nothing from Microsoft that would indicate that this is a path they would go down. In fact, all the indications are from the FTC trial and everything is that they were looking to get more exclusives because they literally went and turned Indiana Jones from a multi-plat to an exclusive. So if you were planning on basically being like, well, we were actually going to go more places, you would figure they would keep that multi-platform because that's where they would make more money. And the Blade thing we've heard is, exclusive or what have you. And so you wouldn't really do that if you were planning on changing things. Now, Xbox, we could go through 2024 and Xbox could announce, be like, by the way, Sea of Thieves is now out for Switch and PlayStation 5. And you'd be like, all right, well, whatever. It's 6 years old, and that's what's best for the game at that point.
You have to say, like, that announcement would hit pretty hard for a lot of fans. Like, why? And then it kind of goes into, I know it's an echo chamber. There's a couple supers about this, but the discussion amongst the hardcore would be like, if Sea of Thieves is coming, Blade has to come to PlayStation, and it would never end, right?
Now you're thinking now you're also like back in the Twitter echo chamber.
See, that's why I have Rand on the show, guys.
This is one thing, and this is because this one thing happened. That means this has to happen, and that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I know, and the thing is, like, the people that would say, well, now I don't have to get an Xbox because there's things are coming, like, those people are never going to get an Xbox regardless of what happens. They're constantly just push the goalposts back and forth, so it doesn't really matter, right?
Like, Phil and those guys laugh when they hear this, like, small corner discussion happening, I would assume. Like, as you try to bring reason into it.
I don't know if they laugh. I mean, I'm sure they're very well aware of what people are talking about and stuff like that.
It's got to be a couple million people that kind of...
What are some of the super chats you got, though?
Let's see. We got... that's great. Yodani Kizano with the $5 super chat. Thank you, Yodani, for being here every single week and being a great channel mod on the channel. We appreciate you. He says, we can admit we need just one single-player third-person game. Sony backs out, and that camp is back in denial, needing just one multiplayer game. I agree. Like, they don't really have anything outside of like some niche type of cooperative multiplayer. Like
Helldivers 2 is 4-player co-op.
Say it again.
Helldivers 2 is 4-player co-op.
Yeah, that's going to be nice to see. Yeah. Dead Planet with the 2 says, maybe no Shadow Drop, but a surprise at Developer Direct. Yeah, probably not a Shadow Drop, but the Xbox comms people were sort of sounded annoyed, like not every game needs to Shadow Drop.
Everybody was like, all right, when this game's going to be Shadow Drop and this game's going to be Shadow Drop. But the thing is, a Shadow Drop is a game you know nothing about, and nobody knew anything about Hi-Fi Rush, and suddenly it was available. Like, people are like, oh, maybe they'll Shadow Drop this. It's like, but it's already known. It's a known quantity. It wouldn't be a Shadow Drop. Yeah, you know?
Well, like they were going to show a trailer and just... Do you remember the Marchers last year?
I remember the Marchers, yes.
That was great. Lost a couple friends there.
Shout out to Mav. Shout out to Mav. Mav the Marcher and Pong So, leader of the Marchers.
Mav got kind of mad. I'm like, bro, I love you. I don't care. We were all just joking around. And then he's like, okay. Hargeet Johnny, thank you so much for the 5. He says, gosh darn it, Hargeet. He says, Rand, PlayStation will start charging $10 a month for hub access with your next-gen features. Rumble those triggers. And then he's got a string of laughing, crying emojis. Messy Hargeet Johnny on this time of year. Spider with the NOK, which is a Norwegian currency. He says, Facts, thank you so much for this. He says, Factions being canceled sucks. All multiplayer games don't have to be live service games. Call of Duty didn't used to be one, and it became a juggernaut. He says, I love multiplayer. So, yeah, I mean, this game was so fun, they canceled it, man.
I see here, the Insomniac Games hack has leaked publicly now. Expect Wolverine footage to start appearing online. Apparently, a bootable build of the game is in there, though it requires a PS5 test kit dev kit until someone backports it to jailbroken firmware. This guy goes, I assume there's videos in the leak. Someone posted a test render of the announcement trailer in this person's Discord. A link from it from Steamable. So apparently they didn't pay. And, you know, if they spread the information, then I guess we're about to see a whole bunch of Wolverine stuff.
I think this only happens because Insomniac is so popular, because it happens to Rockstar as well. I've heard that Wolverine is like their version of God of War, which gets me super excited about playing that game, like over the shoulder and slashing. And be careful out there. Start muting words, I suppose. I guess if you're diehard Wolverine or PlayStation or just a gaming fan.
It's just like it's like an early build or whatever. I don't think you're not talking about like spoilers like the Suicide Squad stuff that came out today, right?
Yeah, the Rocksteady was like, please avoid spoilers. And I wanted to ask you really quickly, what do you expect from Suicide Squad? Just quickly. Like,
I expect a pretty version of Crackdown with criminals of DC origin. That's what the videos kind of seem like it is, like a Sunset Overdrive Crackdown.
Can I make an accolades trailer that says a pretty version of Crackdown with
DC characters?
With DC characters. Randall Thor 19, Xbox 2
That's what it looks like. That's what it looked like, you know. Bouncing around everywhere, big city to get through. Like mobility stuff, guns. That's what it kind of looked like.
It is weird. The reception of that game right now is so weird.
Well, dude, I can't wait for the review scores on that one. I mean, Rocksteady was one of my favorite studios. They had that 3-game run where they may have been the best studio in games, where they did Arkham Asylum, then Arkham City, then Arkham Knight. Colt, look up the Metacritic scores for those 3 games.
Arkham City and Arkham Knight,
Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight.
I know that Arkham City
like
is a 96. Yeah, and Arkham Asylum is 94.
Those Arkham games are the soup, like that is what basically anybody who's making a superhero game is still chasing after all this time. Is those.
And don't let people snow you about the Batman Arkham games. I replayed them like 2 or 3 years ago, and the experience is phenomenal. Like, it's still so good, especially if you have the Arkham City like full package where you get the Robin and the Harley Quinn stuff. Like, you get all this content. Those games are so great, and I would still say better than Spider-Man. And I love Spider-Man 2018. That's the only one I'll mention. Yeah, accolade trailer from Randall Thor. Pretty crackdown with DC characters.
I want you know how much I did not like Crackdown.
You hated it, and I liked it. Yeah, I know. Let's see. Red Wolf says, Mag, you missed the ASMR. Please give your thoughts. Yeah, he's going to have to phone that in next time. Jesse Darby with the $2.
Cutting that from the podcast, by the way.
I might need to because yours is way too hot for internet.
Yeah,
live internet.
And not safe for work, essentially.
Jesse Darby, thank you so much for the $2. He's got the Illuminati logo. He says Sony has no games, but they... I did not say this. This is Jesse Darby. They have drug addicts. They don't have drug addicts. Just some of their YouTubers are. It's not a big deal. Spider with the NOK50. Thank you for this. He says, what is the release cadence you want from Xbox first party? 2 big games every year and medium small games every second month. Something else, he says? Rand, what are you thinking their cadence is looking like?
I mean, if they can get out 4 big games a year plus smaller stuff in between, that's perfect. Like, if you can get a big game January, February, March, and then one in April, May, June, and one in July, August, September, I mean, it sounds pretty out
ambitious.
There, right? It sounds very optimistic, and it's like, wow, 4 huge games plus more? But you look at all the studios they have and what they're working on, it should be doable. So,
well, I mean, look at next year. You have Hellblade, Avowed, Call of Duty, and Flight Sim, which are 4 big games in 2024.
Then
you got Towerborn
and Our History Untold.
And then
which
is
we
that
don't
about
care
all
about
we know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, those are the officially announced stuff. We know we're also getting a Fallout 4 next gen update, probably to coincide with the TV show, right?
Like, will that be a purchasable?
No, I think it's just going to be an update too.
So I wouldn't count it. Like, I wouldn't put it on my fanboy graphics.
You also, like I said, Special Nick's been saying Gears Collection for I don't know how long now. I would imagine if that's real, that game would have to come out at least a year before Gears 5. So maybe a Gears Collection runs this year.
And you and I think Forza Horizon 6 is probably not in 2024.
I mean, they shifted from a 2-year cycle to a 3-year cycle with Forza Horizon 5, and next year would be 3 years. So it's possible Forza Horizon 6 comes out next year.
So it's possible that Xbox has 5 big games plus 2 to 3 mediums or smaller size games
or whatever. I mean, there's the rumors about Fallout 3 remake or Oblivion remake that could happen. Who knows if Activision Blizzard has some stuff in the works, right?
Yeah, and can I bring up quickly about Fallout, because I meant to bring this up in the show, so I won't take a lot of time on this, but Chris Avallone, who I really, really like him, because when I saw him in the developer docs for Fallout New Vegas back in 2010, he basically said publicly last night that they made multiple pitches to Bethesda Softworks to do a spin-off of Elder Scrolls Skyrim, an Elder Scrolls game in their engine, and to take on the Fallout 4 engine, which you haven't got a chance to play yet, and make a Fallout spin-off. And he said they were outright told, no, I'm looking for this tweet here where he was talking about it. And they really wanted to do this, and he kind of makes a light-natured joke that Bethesda didn't want them to make another game because Fallout New Vegas was so loved by fans. like maybe even more than Fallout 3 was. Like regarding Fallout New Vegas versus 3, like what do you think like the zeitgeist thinks about those two games when it comes to Obsidian versus Bethesda?
I mean, I think people look at Fallout New Vegas as the better Fallout game between that and Fallout 3 and even Fallout 4. And amazingly, Obsidian had to turn that around in like 18 months or whatever it was. And famously, they missed out on a bonus because they missed out on the Metacritic bonus by like a point or two. I'm not really surprised because you did hear some about this. Like Todd doesn't like other people working on his IPs. And this is one of the things where, I think you've said, hey, they absolutely need to spin up a studio to get Fallout 5 up faster or more Fallout games. But it seems like Todd doesn't like that. Doesn't like people working on his stuff.
That's what I think too.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think about Obsidian working on the Fallout 4 creation engine, which looks much better than 3, and coming up with their own locale of Fallout being really, really well. Loki was on my lap, and then he's like, "I'm out of here," and then he scratched on the door. Let me back in. I think it would have been really good, but I didn't know that they were pitching for an Elder Scrolls spinoff, and it sounded like they were really super happy to make something, and Bethesda just like, you're not showing us up again. I guess that's what I got from his tweet. I was trying to look for what he said. It was it helps. He says, not surprisingly, it didn't gain much traction. I never got the impression that Bethesda was happy with Fallout New Vegas's reception, good and bad. Which says a lot because, like you said, it got an 80 on Metacritic when it launched, but then the fans seem to like Fallout New Vegas more. And I'm really surprised that they didn't get a chance to do something for Elder Scrolls, and now they're making Avowed. But Rand, is Avowed going to be anything like a Elder Scrolls type game, or is it going to be first-person Pillars?
Set in the Pillars universe, I'm sure it'll have the exploration fix that people love about the Bethesda games that was sort of missing in Starfield a bit, right? So, but then again, we don't know much about Avowed either. All we know is the trailer that we saw. So we'll have to wait to see more about that game. But I think there'll be exploration in that.
They said the world's surprisingly big, and Outer Worlds was made up of these pretty small, medium, like arena-sized locations, and you and I are big fans of Outer Worlds. So let's see. We got Invincible with the Canadian $2 says Xbox markets GTA 6 and releases the Series X2 at the same time. I don't think Xbox is going to pay for that marketing. Do you think they would?
I mean, we don't know. I don't think they would, but who knows? Yeah. It's Grand Theft Auto 5.
It's a pretty big get.
I think it's a big miss for the industry that Grand Theft Auto 5 is not next year. I've seen some industry analysts say like, because that is going to bring a lot of people to console. That is going to draw a lot of spending. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 is one of those North Stars. I
mean, why isn't it going to do that in 25? What's so important about?
No. That basically 2024 2024 doesn't look good. Basically, because and me have discussed this. It doesn't really seem like there's a lot of big games coming out scheduled for 2024, at least right now.
What are the big multi-plats other than like Space Marine, which I actually don't think is super big?
You mentioned it. There's no Resident Evil, right? Okay. There's no Hogwarts Legacy. So Hogwarts Legacy was the best-selling game of this past year. There's no Hogwarts Legacy next year, right? There's a Call of Duty which should sell better than this past year's. We don't know what's really coming from PlayStation that's high level. Final Fantasy should sell well, but I don't know if it'll sell significantly better than Final Fantasy 16. Nintendo. I'm sorry. I mean,
I say GTA 5. I say GTA 5 all the time. I'm still not used to saying the 6.
I guess what I meant to say was like that's going to grow the industry next year, and the only thing that's really going to grow the industry is the launch of the Switch 2.
Yeah, there's like no Elden Ring or.
So
that's weird.
Yeah, people were hoping that Grand Theft Auto was next year because that is going to be a massive moment. People are going to buy consoles in droves. People are going to play that game for hundreds of hours and spend money on microtransactions. It's going to be a big moment for PlayStation and Xbox that game is coming out, and it's not. So it's a big loss for 2024. Big gain for 2025, but that still leaves this year in between where it really seems like the only growth is going to be the Switch 2 and potentially a PS4, PS5 Pro at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. We don't really seem doesn't really seem at this point in time, outside of Call of Duty, like any huge releases. So when you compare it to when you compare early this 2024 to what early 2023 was, it's going to be on a decrease because there's no Hogwarts and there's no Resident Evil, there's no Star Wars, right? There's none of those huge games that launched in the early part of 2023. Sure, Dragon's Dogma is there, and I'm sure that'll be a great game, but that's not Resident Evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I never thought that there wasn't a big franchise release from like the juggernauts of gaming in 2024.
And Suicide Squad looks like it probably is going to disappoint.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you look at it as of right now, it's kind of like, 2024 looks like a down year. Maybe. I don't know.
I mean, maybe PlayStation even they have kind of an iffy 2024, and Xbox has a pretty good one. I would have thought 2023 would have been bigger. I thought Redfall would have been great and Starfield would have been amazing. And everybody knows how those kind of turned out for them personally. That's interesting. Let's see. I can't remember what else I was going to say, but Michael Mooney, thank you for the €5. He also adds, what if they designed Generation 9.5 to run GTA 6 better to go with marketing rights in 2025?
I mean, maybe. Colt, there's no Zelda next year, right? Zelda was another game. And Zelda sold like 10 million copies in a week.
There's no Mario? Like, what does Nintendo have that's big next year other than the Switch 2?
Well, we don't... I mean, I think there's like a Peach game, but I think they're holding all their big games for the reveal of the Switch 2. So there's probably going to be a 3D Mario game that launches with the Switch 2. But we don't know when the Switch 2 is launching. Is it launching in the spring? Is it launching in the fall? The fall, you got to wait all the way to the end of the year. I mean, we know the Switch 1 launched in March of 2017 with a Zelda game, Breath of the Wild, that sold was like 100% attach rate, and people bought so many of those, and then they had the Super Mario Odyssey launch at the end of the year. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how this is going to play out.
You got me kind of bummed. Like,
I know some industry watchers and industry analysts are kind of like, 2024 is going to be a down year.
Dang, they've been up and up.
Until maybe you get to the end, and then maybe it picks up because of new consoles and Call of Duty and stuff.
I mean, you're right, because the big games have already been spoken for at this point. You kind of got me a little bummed, because I do look forward to those big juggernaut games that everybody is talking about that we're all playing together. But I don't know. We'll see. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat, thank you for the Australian 5, says, hey, all, just joined, rewound to the beginning, so I'm way behind. Want to wish Colt, Mag, and both your family, and Rand, friends, and chat a great holiday period. 78 Incorporated US Gaming, thank you for the 10. He says, regardless of how powerful it is, the Xbox has to get a foothold in Europe and Japan to see future success, in my opinion, he says. And I think Xbox is down 3-1 in Europe, aren't they, Rand?
Maybe even more. I mean, Europe is a place that Xbox doesn't do well. I know they are trying their hardest in Japan. We talked a little bit about that. Ex-PlayStation executive who now is over there helping out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like obviously you want to do great everywhere, and their sales in Europe are not good by any metric. But I mean, you can make the argument. It's like, does that matter? Like, if you're making all this money and revenue on live service stuff, is that okay? And I've always thought that the Xbox brand was a more Anglo-Saxon, English-speaking brand, right? It does well in the U.S., it does well in the U.K., it does well in Brazil, which is not
Canada,
English-speaking, but
Mexico.
Even 360's best, even the Xbox best generation, the 360, it didn't sell that great in Europe. Europe is PlayStation land and Nintendo land. It wasn't like all of a sudden, the 360 was selling gangbusters in Germany and Czechoslovakia and Spain and all those other places. It really didn't. PlayStation 3 still dominated in comparison back then. Even though PlayStation 3 was way more expensive, it didn't really have anything until a few years later when Uncharted 2 and games like that started to release. So
there's really only one way to sell more consoles and get more Game Pass and make the Xbox logo bigger and bigger throughout the world. And it's, I got to have these games. And if you can't play them on PlayStation, Xbox knows this. This is why they've got all these partnerships.
Xbox might push PC more over there. They might be more than happy to be like, all right, well, we know you're not going to buy this console even if we have these games, but you can play it on PC. And that might work for them. We know PC is a big growth vector for Microsoft, and those places might be, more willing to, adopt PC and stuff. So it's not always strictly about the console, even though the console is important. Xbox's business plan and strategy is different than PlayStation's and Nintendo's,
for sure.
And I think some people it's taken longer for them to realize like, that's the case, so. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that goes like with Fonz with a brand new gaming PC. Like, I'm like, say goodbye to Xbox, but he's like, I'm still going to use Xbox to do this or do that and do this. And he just has more choice. He can buy his games and he can do whatever he wants. Sometimes you can play him here and there, back and forth.
I can't wait for Fonz to come in the party and be like, I can't get this game to work on my PC. Like, well, it just works on mine just fine, buddy.
I don't know what to tell you, bud.
I don't know what to tell you, bud. Sorry. Works fine on mine.
You've got a new killer PC that's still sitting in the box, and I told Rand, I'm like, get on the phone with me tomorrow and let's open that thing up, and yeah, but
well, I bought it. I bought it because it was on sale, and I needed to buy it because I needed to reduce my tax bill for next year. But it's not something that was just like, oh, I want to hook up immediately, right? It was just like, I'll get to it when I get to it. I bought it then because it was like, all right, it's like $600, $700 off.
You got a good deal, but it's an expensive cardboard box right now until you get into it. But
all I care about right now are my books. So
yeah, that's true. And those books you don't have to hook up and fiddle with. Acute Perspective, thank you for the 2. He says, make Game Pass exclusives only on Game Pass and no physical. Boy, that would really tick off people. But I mean, one of these days, the physical games market is just going to have to just let go. I don't know. That's a horrible opinion of mine. But Detective C's, thank you so much. Thank you so much. A good friend. I've talked to him on Xbox Live a lot, and we haven't talked recently. He gifted 30 channel memberships to the channel membership here on the Colteastwood channel. Thank you so much. For those of you who were listed off in the chat that got it, you get early access to my videos. I complete them around 10, 11 o'clock at night, and then you can watch those early. You can write early in the chat. You're also entered in for monthly merch giveaways where if I say you win, you get to pick something from the store that you want. It could be a mug. It could be a hoodie. It could be a thong with Randall Thor's logo on it. It's amazing. Boner Jams with a $5 says, evening Colt Thunderwood and Magadoodle. Boner Jams needs to give you a nickname. He says, will 2024 be the year for the PS5 or TurboGrafx 16? Merry Christmas, boys. Thank you for that. Gamer by Choice, thank you for the 5. Thank you, Rand and Colt. You are in an echo chamber with vocal minorities. Most gamers are not in console and list wars. They just want games to play. I got to ask you real quick, Rand. When I said, what are people saying about Blade? What did you say that the majority of gamers are saying when they saw the Blade reveal?
There's a Blade game coming. And you were like, oh, these people are, what is exclusive? You were like, oh my God, everybody's like, no, that's not what people are worried about. People are happy.
In the world that I live in, it's fair to say that. But Rand always constantly reminds me, he's like, Colt, you're talking to a bunch of crazy people and you're one of them. I'm like, that's a nice thing to say as a friend.
No, I didn't say you're talking to crazy people. You just got to realize that it's an echo chamber.
Yeah. For sure. Nobody with the $5 super says, did you guys give your thoughts on Chris Avalon's pitches for Fallout and Elder Scrolls games? Such a missed opportunity. Yes, we did. Yeah, it's such a missed opportunity. Rand, I really appreciate you being here. It's been a longer show than I'm used to, and I had a good time. And even though you and I talk every day, I still learned something tonight from some of your speeches. So,
bro, now you understand how Xbox 2 can go 4 hours every week.
No, you guys are psychopaths.
Because we're almost We're almost at 3.
Yeah, that's a lot for me.
We could keep on going. And if Mag was here,
yeah,
and that and that Ponybot Mag.
Gosh, him and his PlayStation. One of these days, I'll see that notification that he actually got online on the Xbox. Right.
Right. So, yeah, blow the dust off of it.
Oh, Special Nick's here. He said you started late. No, we did. We started normal time, but when it's Rand and I, who knows what's going to happen.
Hey, come on in, Special Nick. Join the thing. Get in here.
Yeah. He probably would too.
Let's get Special Nick up in here. Let's go for another hour.
Special Nick, you can come in and say hi if you want. Yeah. No, it's I don't know. You got me a little worried about 2024. Like, what's the big thing I was looking forward to? I'm playing Avatar, and I'm like, that was kind of one of those big games that I hope will be fun. I'm enjoying it, but what's the big in the chat? He goes,
I don't know.
can't.
You tell me. My most anticipated game's Hellblade 2. It has been for years.
Yeah.
You know, it just might be a good time to get rid of your backlog. I mean, I guess it depends because the beginning of next year is sort of loaded with you have like Persona 3 Reload, which I know Colt doesn't care about. You got like the new Yakuza game, Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is coming out then. There's like a Danta game called. There's a Danta game. I forget the name of the Danta game, but it's coming out around that time frame. Suicide Squad. What else is coming out? Dragon's Dogma is coming out in March. I'm trying off the top of my head trying to figure out.
Help us out in the chat. Write down the games that you're looking forward to that are multi-plat.
Just in January of this year, we had Hi-Fi Rush and then Dead Space Remake.
Yeah, Dead Space Remake. We had Callisto Protocol at the end of the year, but a lot of people played it early in January.
And then Hogwarts Legacy in February. There was a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Star Wars Outlaws. That's the big game I'm looking forward to. But did that get pushed to the holiday?
I mean, I think it might have.
And AC Red, shout out to Gray Monad, another good friend, says AC Red, which I think is the Japan Assassin's Creed, right? I'm pretty sure.
AC Red, yeah. I don't know.
And that's supposed to be in the holiday, and they usually never miss their deadlines. They just crap the game out as soon as possible. And
I wonder if AC Red supposed to be 2024 or is it supposed to be 2025?
I could look really quickly. AC Red. Codename Red is... Oh my gosh, come on, just give me a quick answer. I'm pretty sure that's the one set in Japan. Because it had all the red branding on it. It will likely not release till 2024 at the earliest. I mean, they just usually don't miss a year for Assassin's Creed. And I did not like Mirage at all. I gave up on it. Like 20 hours in.
Oh, man, some of the leak stuff about Wolverine is hitting.
Right now?
Yeah,
without saying anything, like, say what type of stuff you're seeing.
No, just like documentation. Like Wolverine's planned for 2025 with 2 sequels every 4 years.
Jeez. Well, that makes sense.
Looks like Sony has signed like a deal with Marvel to publish 3 X-Men games, including Wolverine. But those, they might, X-Men in Wolverine or something. Video, it sounds like video might hit really soon too. But yeah, there's a lot of
so somebody hacked in or got into a back door on like their server or something. That really sucks.
The entire voice cast is leaked for Wolverine.
Who's gonna voice cat or performance act Jason from Grand Theft Auto? I had somebody message me thinking there's gonna be Sam Worthington from Avatar, but typically Rockstar goes with a killer unknown actor or actress, so I don't think it's going to be. The guy sort of looks like a young Sam Witwer from Days Gone.
I'm looking at the cast of Wolverine right now.
Are you really? Is it telling you who? Don't say, but is it telling you who?
No. I mean, yeah, it's got the pictures of...
Okay, let me ask this question. Is there a name in there that you recognize?
Oh, yes. Very much.
Is it Dealer Gaming? Is he voicing Logan?
No, but I mean, yeah.
Hey, people ask in the chat, or they message me a lot about Dealer. They're coming back soon, and Fonz has been talking to him. I've messaged him a couple times. He moved across state, so all of his stuff was in disarray, and he's setting it up and wants to get set up. So you'll hear from him soon. He's doing great, is what I heard. So yeah, I understand that. Like when we don't hear from people, we're like, where? But yeah, he's doing good. He's doing well, and I need to call him. I need to call that guy. So, what are you slobbering over those leaks right now? Red Wolf's
Bro.
like, oh my gosh.
I'm looking at him, bro.
Oh my gosh, those leaks are so hot at her. Wait, yes, please don't. Please don't. Donnie, he's saying that Wolverine has the same camera perspective. I said that as well, so that's okay speak, I suppose. All this stuff's on like a trial basis. Yeah, I mean that's just that was something that we heard about a week or two ago. But yeah, new leak stuff. Be careful. I really would think that you would want, if you care about Wolverine, you'd probably want to mute that wherever you go. Are you still looking at it?
No, I'm not.
Okay. We'll talk about it later on. We got one more. Anonymous Boss, thank you so much for the 5R. Says, salute Colton Rand. One question to decide once and for all. What is the best Halo game ever made? Oh, Rand and I'll argue on this one.
Multiplayer would be Halo 2.
Okay.
Maybe overall would be Halo 3.
Halo 3 is your ultimate best
Maybe.
Halo
I don't
game?
know. Like Halo Reach is up there too.
Your personal favorite.
I tell you what's not. Halo 1's nowhere close. Halo 5's nowhere close.
Okay.
Halo Infinite might be up there too. It's like Halo 2
on your favorite campaign?
Halo 3. Well, I mean, if you're talking about the whole package, like multiplayer for me is Halo 2, and then probably Halo 3, and then Reach, and then Infinite probably is in there. Campaign. I mean, Halo 3's campaign was great. I liked Reach's campaign a lot. I think Reach's campaign is probably the best.
I really, really like Reach's campaign, even though I don't. The characters aren't super memorable for me. But I really thought the campaign was just so freaking enjoyable, and like the jetpack was so fun. But my all-time favorite, because of the vibe, the music, the Nathan Fillion, is ODST. And I know most people would disagree, but you always have those outliers like Brian Harris, like ODST is my favorite. I will listen to the soundtrack on my free time. It's that great. I don't know what it was where I was like, what is this ODST? And then I ended up just really loving it. I think Halo 2 might be my favorite, but I think ODST is the favorite of all, if I had to argue with myself. Grandpa's Barbecue Game Cat says, wow, you're still going. Naughty Dog were gone the moment they went woke and hired Anidia Sarkeesian. Oh, my goodness. Remember still, or 1 hour and 30 seconds behind he is. Like I said, man, your favorite studios, it's probably pretty likely that most people aren't even there anymore. And that could be good or bad. We'll see. Rand, this has been a good show. Thank you for sticking around and surviving a long and arduous podcast. And
yeah, you're always yelling about podcasts that go over 2 hours because you get hungry and you're tired. And here you are doing a 3-hour show.
I am so hungry right now. It's unbelievable. That's why I was like, this microphone looks like an Oreo.
That's why we're about to get out of here.
Yes. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we got 666 people watching. Rip and tear.
For the last episode.
Oh, yeah, we should say.
For XNC.
We should say, yes, last episode. I won't be here next Monday. That's Christmas Day. The following Monday is New Year's Day. Everybody have a great holiday season. Have a great Christmas. Whatever gets you and your family together. Have a great end of the year. And those New Year's resolutions, good luck. Best of luck to you. Rand, do you have any final statements? I got one more super and we're out.
No, just thanks for having me on. It was a lot of fun.
Tell them what you're playing the rest of the year for Xbox 2.
We got Xbox 2 coming on Friday.
Okay.
I don't know what we're going to talk about. And then we might do a show next week. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Me and Jez talking about stuff. We'll see what happens.
Is Jez going to tell you they're going third party and then you'll have to argue his way out of it again? Or what do you think? It'll be all right?
I don't think so.
JD Gamer, thanks for the 5. Says, best complete Halo game is Halo 3. Best combo is the Master Chief Collection. Best multiplayer is now Infinite. Man, I hear people love it. Best single player is, and don't get me, is Halo 4. I also liked Halo 4's campaign. All right, that's good. That's been a great show. Red Wolf sends a little devil sticker. Thanks, Red Wolf. You're the best, man. Rand, have a good rest of the week, bro. Thanks for being here.
I'll do my best. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll
Hit
see
the like
you,
button for Cold in the chat, and make sure to think about Oreos and Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Oh, yeah.